All right, here we go. Okay, so please confirm in the chat room you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, kindly let me know. Okay, great, great. All right. Okay. Okay, just a minute. Let me see. Okay, all right. So once again, welcome to class. Mercy, please be prompt with the sharing of the attendance form link so that everyone can fill out the attendance form. Okay, so for those who are new to our program, welcome to Transformation College of Business and Technology. Transformation College is an NGO and a college that is accredited by the National Board for Technical Education to offer National Innovation Diploma courses. All right, so on this call today, we have our existing National Innovation Diploma students, and we have those who just registered for the 8 weeks program, which is starting today. So for our existing students, it's a pleasure to always have you in class. If you are filling up the registration or the attendance form, you are the ones who have student ID number, so fill up with your ID number as well. For those who are just joining for the sake of this 8-week program, you do not have a student number, so you can leave that space blank and fill up other fields in the form. So once again, welcome to Transformation College. Now, it's important for us to let everybody know that this program, this is this class schedule for these Saturday classes. First session will start from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, and then would have a 1-hour break starting from 12 to 1 p.m. And we come back for the last session, which would last from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is an extensive study, so please give it your best. And before I would hand over to the next lecturer or trainer we have this morning, for those who are joining us today, this is a course curriculum or schedule for the Saturdays. All right, you might want to take a screenshot, and I guess some of you already have a copy of this. So this is our guide, and this applies to also our existing NID students for networking and system security, as well as computer software engineering. Okay, and for our business informatics students, the existing NID students for business informatics, this is your course schedule throughout this semester that we are in right now. So starting from next Saturday, we'll be having your usual as you see on the screen, so you to be well informed. Now, before I hand over to the speaker or the trainer this morning, I would like to encourage us to take this course seriously. And before I speak further, I would like to play a particular testimony from one of our students who attended a 12 weeks diploma program. I don't know if she is yet on the call, but I crave your indulgence to listen and see how beneficial the program has been for her and is still for her, so that it will inspire you to take this course seriously for your own good as well. So I am going to be playing Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did until I saw something on your WhatsApp. It was about a transformation college.
So just before I continue, can you confirm you heard the first part? Is it audible enough? Please confirm in the chat room.
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
Okay, great, great. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, that's what I did until I saw something on your WhatsApp. It was about a transformation college, 3 months diploma course, and then I chatted you in case and you sent me the whole syllabus. And I looked at it, I was like, okay. And so when the opportunity came, you know, I was excited. And immediately I was on the road that I just transferred the fee and I was eagerly waiting. Right. So fast forward to it was that 3 months it was really not an easy job. It wasn't an easy task at all. Trying to meet up with class, the children, my rehearsals, engagements on Saturdays, but somehow I tried to make up. And at the end of the day, I did, in fact, at the point I said, maybe I'll just give up. Because at some point, I was like, oh, this thing, how am I going to do all the 20-something courses? And so I was determined. After about missing 2 weeks, because I set up a factory. God helped me to set up. Well, so this is where the testimony starts. Well, it has already started. I didn't even know, but I didn't know it was going to work out like this. So I got, I've been with Dot. And then I got an opening because I was looking at moving. Got an opening somewhere where I applied just for the post of a compliance officer. It's a construction company. The PLC is a listed PLC. Looking for a chief compliance officer. And I applied. Fast forward to the interviews first stage. Then I met with management team and all of that. And then we kept talking and talking. And at that point, I had done, I think, 2 ISOs. I'd done QMS and I'd done 2. I think it was IT related to QMS, but I know I'd done QMS, very short that. Said, this is what I have. Okay, let me just put it. And I put it actually, advertised my certificate. And somehow, 2 days later, the group HR called, say, okay, we had a meeting as senior management team, and they're looking at reviewing my offer. Like, okay, what's that about? And they say, well, we don't want you as an officer. We want you to come up as a legal advisor and a group company secretary. And, I really wanted to understand the weight of this. So I was like, okay, can you walk me through the organogram? Because when you say you want me to come up, let me know how up and what the entails. 5-4 was level 1, or senior officer level 1. So we have level 2 and level 1. Level 1 is higher than level 2. Then from level 1, you have the intern management, you have the junior management, you have the mid management, you have the senior management / board. And so they want me to jump the 4 stages, the 4 levels, and come up to the senior management position for the directors. And I lost my sleep for almost a week. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I'm still going to keep learning and learning. Also something that you posted about software engineering, hardware, and all of that stuff. I'm going to look at it again and see if it's something I can fit into. Why not? and paid classes, because I know that if you can get this level of value from unpaid classes, because what we paid, how much like it was not 5K for that 3 months diploma. That is not payment. So I know that when it's not even a paid class, and you say it's a paid class, it is something that's going to bring a lot of value, a lot. Not just people collecting money and not delivering, but it's going to be a lot of value. So I'm looking forward to both paid and unpaid teachings and classes from here. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, so I believe you all listened to that. The testimonial was so long, but we had to cut it short so that we can pick some very direct aspects that speaks to what we're doing today. So the reason why you listen to this is just to encourage you to pull through to the end of this program for your own good. And we have line up of exceptional lecturers and trainers who will drill you through the entire course and see that you get value for your time studying at Transformation College. So please have your writing materials ready, have all you need, and pay attention to whatever it is that it's going on in this class today, as well as every other Saturday. So I wouldn't have to speak much. I would like to introduce our next trainer, who will be giving us an overview or an introduction to what we are expecting in this throughout this 8-week program. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you can put your round of applause in the chat room as I welcome Ayola Diakola. He is an IT or systems specialist. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ayola. You can kindly share your screen and take it up from here. So please, let's put a round of applause in the chat room, please. Ayola, please speak if you can hear me. You can unmute yourself to speak.
Okay, good morning. I can hear you, ma.
Okay, great.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. Kindly share your
I'm
screen.
going to share my video first. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you for having me on the call this morning. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my screen quickly. Seconds. Okay, please confirm if you can see my screen in full screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Can you see it in full screen?
Not yet. It's not yet in presentation view. Okay, great. It is now in presentation view.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm trying to welcome you all to this CompTIA Tech plus the Extreme Computing Skills training session. One of the things I'm here to do this morning is to be able to prepare your mind, your heart, and to prepare your readiness for this particular training. Over this course of this program, we are going to be diving into the world of tech. Basically, we're going to be helping each other, or we'll be helping you to sharpen your skills and prepare you to become a top tier IT professionals. Somebody will ask me, but I'm not a tech person. I'm not somebody that loves to or I'm not really interested in tech. You know that in this age that we have now, if you don't have a background of technology or you don't know what you are doing, your value is going to be reduced. So whether you are aiming to upgrade your expertise or you want to take a leap into a new IT career, or you want to just have an idea of what CompTIA Tech Plus can do for you, I want to tell you that this is a launch pad to success. Yes, this is a launch pad to success. And once again, on behalf of Transformation College, a School of Business and Technology, I want to welcome you to this training. So I'm very much aware that we know that this will cover 8 weeks of our Saturdays, and it's going to range from 12th of October, which is today, till 30th of November. Yeah. So you ask me, what are the things that I'm going to be covering during this particular CompTIA Tech Plus A? Let's first talk about this program. So how valuable it is to us as individual, as a tech expert, or somebody who needs to choose, or somebody who has interest in choosing career in tech. So CompTIA Tech Plus provides you with comprehensive knowledge across all the core IT areas. So number one, from hardware, software, to what, to networking and security. So you ask me, the objective of this study is to be able to breed a new generation of IT professionals for the local and international markets. Don't forget, whether you are coming from the hardware aspects, you are coming from the software aspect, or networking, or you have interest in security, this particular training, it's very, very, very good for you. So let's look at why CompTIA Tech Plus. Yes. So why this particular training, or why this certification? Do you know that this particular certification or training covers all core topics which is required by CompTIA Tech Plus certification? This includes from covering topics on hardware, on software, networking, and security. So this will help you to be well prepared for both exams and practical and real-world IT task and experience. Don't forget, or before I forget, I want to assure you that during this training, we won't only be talking about how to only prepare for your exams. We won't only be talking about what you need to know. We are going to be having 100% hands-on practical training. So this one will help you to be able to have an idea of how real-world issues are solved. Also, the content in this particular training is also structured to build you from basic to advanced concepts. And we are going to be making sure that it is very easy for you to learn, and for you to follow and even understand whatever we have for you in this particular training. The certification we are going to be preparing towards is going to be recognized globally. And this will give you a serious edge in the job market. Just take that. So whatever certification you are getting, or you want to go to be able to get again after this, it's going to help you to have an edge at the job market. So a certification of CompTIA A is well recognized in the industry. Don't forget, if you really want to delve into IT world, you want to call yourself a tech bro, you want to call yourself a tech lady, or you want to call yourself an IT person, either you are in the hardware niche, you are in the software niche, you are in the networking niche, or you are a security person, CompTIA Tech Plus is very, very recognized in the industry. And studying from this guide can help you achieve this certification, which is what? A key step towards advancing your career in IT. I'm very sure at the end of this particular training, you are going to come back to also share your testimony, how this particular certification is going to help you or has helped you thus far in the training. So let's quickly look at what are the modules that are going to be covering in this training. What are the modules that are going to be covering in this training? Number one, we are going to be talking about the basic computer hardware. What are the basic computer hardware that you know? Number one, motherboard, processors, memory, and storage. So also this particular chapter will help you to be able to understand how power supplies work. I'm very sure you all know what cooling fan system is. So you ask me, okay, what is cooling your cooling system. How does it work? You talk about your expansion cards. So you go to be asking, okay, how does this work? How does it happen? How does it how does it help the whole computer system to be able to work? So we're going to be talking about this, your motherboards, your processors, your memory, and storage. Before I move on, let us talk about the storage system. Quickly help me out in the chat section and tell me what are the storage systems that you know in the computer systems. What are the types of storage system that you know? Quickly, I need like 2 or 3 people to quickly help me out with that. Tell me what are the types of storage systems that you know in the computer systems before I move on to the next chapter. RAM and ROM. RAM and ROM. Okay, hard disk, RAM and ROM. Okay, beautiful. I'm very sure this shows that we are very much ready to. So we are going to be learning how your RAM and your ROM are properly fixed, how they are being troubleshooted, how they are being repaired. So we're going to be talking about all these things in your memory space or storage systems. So this particular chapter will also highlight how these components interact with what? With the computer system. I'm very sure this particular chapter will be able to prepare you on how to become a system engineer. Not really making you to go and start taking jobs in what's it called, in as an engineer, but we're able to help you have an idea of how you, even your own personal system, how it works, and how you can quickly troubleshoot whenever there's a problem. So let's move to the next chapter. Peripherals and connectors. Peripherals and connectors. So this will be focusing more on the input and output devices like keyboards, monitors, and printers. So this particular module or chapter will also cover your types of connectors such as your USB, your HDMI, and network cables. You also learn how to configure external devices and set up multiple monitors to boost productivity. Yes, you'll be learning how to configure multiple monitors and external devices. Another thing again, let me ask this question before I move on. What is the meaning of USB? What's the full meaning of USB? The full meaning of USB. Yes, the full meaning of USB. Quickly in the chat section before we move on again. What's the full meaning of USB? No, Richmond, you are wrong. Paddy, you are wrong. I need 1 or 2 persons to put Deborah, you are wrong. Sorry, can somebody just prove them wrong? I need somebody with the right answer here. I'm seeing Universal Serial Bus. No, it's wrong. Can somebody help me? One more person, please. Okay, I know we're all afraid that if these people are wrong, then what will it be? Thank you very much at Richmond, at Loud, at Deborah. Yeah, it's Universal Serial Bus. It's correct. It's correct. I was just joking by that. I was thinking I would get another person that would give me a different definition or meaning. So now, back to the chat room. The position where a USB is plugged is called what? The point. I don't want to say the name. The point where a USB is plugged in your computer is called what? Yes, I want to see people that thank you very much. Wow, USB. Wow, these people are very ready. At Madam Edith, I'm very sure these people already know what they are going to be They are very ready and they already know what they are doing in this particular training. So thank you very much. It's going to be a very interesting class. Yeah. So this particular chapter will also help us to be able to troubleshoot and to be able to configure this ports, the USB, the HDMI, and the network cables. Don't worry, for those of us that don't know, for those of us that know, it's going to really help us to be able to, whenever it's faulty or probably your devices are not identifying those ports clearly, how to be able to troubleshoot them. This particular training will help you to be able to identify them and know them very, very well. Before I move on again, I didn't talk about the VGA cable. Yes, because what is the common color of a VGA cable? What's the common color for a VGA cable? What's the common color for a VGA cable? Thank you. Blue. Thank you very much. So let's move on. Thank you very much. Blue. So we're also going to be looking at computing devices and IoT. So we're going to be introducing you to computing devices such as desktop, laptops, your tablets, and servers. We're going to also be discussing the Internet of Things. We're going to be discussing about the Internet of Things, IoT devices, and their integration to networks. Emphasizes IoT security and what? Consideration. Let's go look at operating systems. We're going to be talking about most of the common operating system that we have. I'm very sure most of us are using Windows. Some of us also are using Linux. Few of us are using Mac OS, and a lot of us are using iOS and Android operating systems. And we're going to be looking at how it works. So we're going to be focusing on file management, system updates, and user access control. Also, we are going to be explaining more of GUIs, your graphical user interfaces, and how command line interfaces works. Yes, we're going to be talking about that too. So we're also going to be working on software applications for productivity, for collaboration, and utility softwares. This particular chapter will also help us to be able to know how software installation, updates, and management is being done. Yes, it's going to help us to be able to know how to install some of our softwares, how to be able to perform updates to patches, and how management of those software installations are done. Also, we're also going to be talking about web browsers. We're going to be talking about security, and I'll talk about the private browsing, which is called incognito browsing. So let's talk about the software development. So this will help. We're going to be introduced to software development, which is going to go about how programming languages are compiled, how they are interpreted, and how markup languages work. How markup languages, how they work. So we're going to be covering key concepts like loops, variables, data types, and functions. So this will help us explain how logic and organization using pseudocode and also flow charts. So let's move to networking concepts. We're going to be talking about IP addresses, protocols, wired or wireless setups, we're going to be talking about how IP addresses, protocols, wired or wireless setups in networking works. Also, we're going to be explaining more of network devices like routers, modems, switches, and firewalls. We'll also be covering network security essentials and setting up wireless network. In chapter 9, We're going to be talking about majorly on security concepts, which include confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is the main key security concepts: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. One of the things we are going to be talking about is how threats like malware, hacking, and unauthorized access occur in every security breaches. So another thing is that we're going to be covering authentication methods and data encryption. I want to assure you that this particular chapter is going to be very beneficial to us also. So now to security best practices. That is the module 11 or chapter 11. We're going to be talking about details of security best practices for system and networks. Yes, we're going to be talking about what are the best practices for all your systems and network systems. Also, we're going to be discussing more of device admin, your password management, and secure data encryption. Also, we're going to be providing more of strategies for minimizing attack surface vulnerabilities. Yes, attack surface vulnerabilities. Before I move to the next or last chapter here, I would like to ask everybody, what do you think is the best standard practice for changing of passwords? Or let me put it like this: when do you think it's good to always change your password? At, let me say, what months or days or weeks is the best standard practice, or is the best time to always change? Or let me put it again: how often is it good to always change your password? Yes, it's one of the things we are going to be dealing with in these security best practices. Thank you very much. Somebody said 90 days. Wow. Do I have another person monthly, every 90 days? Okay, I will leave that. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you very much, Jonathan. So I will leave that to the trainer. But the best time to always change our password, according to the best practice and according to NIST, is 90 days. So we'll be talking about that during the course of the training. So lastly, we're going to be talking about data continuity and support. Yes, data continuity and support. What do we mean? What are we going to be focusing on? We focus about data backup and strategies, then disaster recovery planning. We're talking about disaster recovery planning. Another thing we're going to be talking about is how to troubleshoot techniques and fault tolerance. Yes, troubleshooting techniques and fault tolerance. We're going to be talking about it during this last chapter, your data continuity and support. Then lastly, we're going to be highlighting business continuity planning and maintaining system integrity. It's going to be very awesome to have you on this 8 weeks training. Before I leave this or hand over to Edith, I would like to say this: knowledge gain is never wasted. What you gain today will help you to be able to solve whatever problem that you face in the IT industry. Don't forget, you have the opportunity to learn for free. Now, there might be time that you won't be able to get this knowledge for free anywhere. So take this opportunity as one that will never come again. I'm very sure all throughout this time, you will enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Thank you for joining us for this training. And I hope we are going to be able to share your testimony with us at the end of this training. Thank you very much. Have a great time. Thank you, Ma.
All right, thank you so very much.
Ayola, for that very intensive introduction of the course. And I know that everyone is well prepared. I could see the interactions in the chat room that shows how prepared we are. And we've just shared on the chat room the program schedule for this 8 weeks. So Ayula has already mentioned what we are having today, so you can as well download the schedule and have a look at it. All right, so today we're taking most of the things we're going to be discussing today, some of you who are in the IT field or who have interest or have done one or two things would already know some of them, but this is a whole course that starts from the very basics to the complex part. So to take the class this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm welcoming the lecturer we have today, Damilola Adelaja. Thank you so much for joining us, and you can take it up from here. And just before she continues, right, talking about the monetary value of this training, if you go and check, it will be costing you about 250,000 to 300,000 to go through this course and get your certification. But here we're giving it for free, and I implore every one of you to take it seriously for your own good. So once again, welcome to class, Damilola, and have a wonderful time in class with us today, as well as to the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edith. Hello, everybody. Edith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. So can I have some reactions here? Who is excited to be here? If you know you're excited to be here, just give me those reactions. Give me the favorite emoji. Yeah. Yes, give me your favorite emoji in the chat box. I'd like to see it. I am 100% excited, and I can't wait for us to delve into this. So please permit me to share my screen. I'll be sharing my screen now. Please hold on. Okay. So kindly confirm if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to Extreme Computing Skills with CompTIA Tech Plus, right? Today, we are going to, dive very, very deep into the art of computers, basically. And I promise you, by the end, you would see your devices in a whole new light, right? Just as Ayola mentioned earlier, I'd like you to see this course as learning to be your computer's doctor, right? So Ayola mentioned, and even Edith mentioned, that some of you already have this knowledge of computers. But I mean, it's always good to start from the basics, right? The basics never hurt. So we'll be starting from the basics today. And in a world like today, where all of us make use of computers, we should actually know how to diagnose and treat common problems, with your computer. It's good for you to understand the parts of your computer, understand the parts inside and how they actually work together. So by the end of this course, you should be a pro, right? So before we begin, I'd like to hear from us. So what part of your computer confuses you the most? What's that part of your computer that actually makes you say, oh my God, what's this? I'm tired of computers. So what part of your computer confuses you the most? Can say it at the chat box. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you in 1 minute. Okay. Okay, said BIOS. Okay, any other person? Any other person? Do we have other persons on the call that are confused about one or two things about in computer? Oh, the motherboard. Beautiful thing. We'll be talking about the motherboard today. How CPU work? Okay, the keyboard. Oh, okay, great. Oh, okay. Formatting and upgrading, great. So I just want you to know that everything that was mentioned today, of course, we'll be treating them throughout this course. So today we'll be dealing with the first two topics that was shown in the course catalog, right? And I just want you to know that those parts that you found confusing in your computer, I want you to know that those parts will become clearer to you by the end of this whole course. Maybe not by the end of today, totally. I'd also like to say that with the lecturers here, I yet to just put you in the right path. Say, oh, this is the path you should follow. This is what you should read. This is what you should do in preparation for this certification. So you also have the work to do, right? You have the work to do Personally, I like to do a lot of Google search. I like to use ChatGPT a lot to just, understand concepts that are quite confusing. Sometimes I tell ChatGPT, explain this thing to me like a 5-year-old. Explain it to me like a 10-year-old. So that way you're able to just get it, at the most basic way, and then you can just understand it better, and even explain it to other people. So the objectives of today's class are really simple. We'll cover motherboards, processors, memories, storage devices. We'll talk about cooling systems and a whole lot more. I'd like to implore us, please, let's ensure our energy is as high till the end. I like the energy I'm feeling already, and I want us to just continue like that. Let us continue like that, okay? This just make it very interesting. I know, so when I was in secondary school, right, I used to think computers were boring. In fact, I used to sleep in computer class. I apologize for saying that. Sorry. Just do as if you did not hear it. So computers used to be very boring to me, right? But I like us to make this interesting. This is a virtual class. I can't see you, but ensure that your computers are on, because there'll be so maybe not a lot of practical, but there will be some things that we'll do together in the class, right? So before I delve deeper, I'd like to ask you, if you'd like to speak, you can raise your hand. Maybe just 2 people. I'd like to ask you, what do you hope to get by the end of this class? You could be a professional that already understands all of these things, or you could even be a beginner, a person that comes from arts or humanities parts aspect, right? So what do you aim to get at the end of this class? So I would like one or 2 people to raise up their hands. If you'd like to speak, I'd like to hear from you. Who would like to speak to us? Please, we do not want only the lecturers and teachers to speak here. I want everybody to speak. Okay, so I can see FADEX. So I want 2 people. So, okay, FADEX number 1. Who is the second person? Okay. Since nobody is raising up their hand, so please, FADEX, you have the floor, please.
Fadex, please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and speak.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you all doing?
Yes, we are doing great today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so about the question, currently, it's not like I know everything, but I feel like there are some parts I'm missing when it
Wait,
comes
sorry,
to
FADEX. Please, can everybody hear FADEX? Can we all hear FADEX? If you know you can hear him, can you signify the chat? Okay, FADEX, not all of us can hear you properly. So I was hoping you
Okay,
could probably move
can you
your
all hear
mouth.
me now?
Can you move your mouth closer to your mic?
Hello, can everyone hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, so I said, it's not like I know everything about computer. I've been doing courses and everything, but then I feel like there are some parts that I don't really know about. There's some knowledge that you don't know. You can get it from anywhere. So concerning me now, I have problem when it comes to the BIOS system in general. I don't really understand what's really going on in that area. So I feel like coming here will teach me more, will lead me to that aspect and other aspects that I don't know about. So as the former lecturer said, he said there's no knowledge wasted in short terms. So I feel anything we gain from here is also a +1 to us.
Thank you so much, FADEX. Thank you very, very much for sharing that with us. I will speak to that when after the next person speaks. So I said just 2 people. So the next person that raised up his or her hand was Adetunji Adedeko. So kindly speak. Can you unmute yourself and speak, please?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And what interests me in joining this program was knowing more about the software and anything related to computer. Because I'm someone that always shy away from it. I just feel like it's not what I want. But I don't know what prompts me to have interest in this course. So I want to know more, and I'm anticipating to be a better person than my normal way of understanding computer, how it work and the likes.
All right, thank you so much, Adetuji Adegoke. That is well observed, and I just want to. So I'll start with Fadex, right? So you mentioned that you know some things already, but I'd like to understand BIOS well. So like I mentioned earlier, I said, okay, so there's this thing I've come to understand. When it comes to learning, you do most of the work. Yes, your teachers here are here to put you to the right direction. Of course, apart from the slide, other materials will be shared with you. But I want you to know that if you use this method where you make a lot of Google search and make use of AI to actually understand things, like we'll give you the foundational knowledge, we'll give you the basic, we'll go deep in some places. But those things that are very, very confusing to you, if you can go to ChatGPT, for example, and tell it to explain it to you like a child, explain it to me like a 15-year-old, explain it to me like a 5-year-old. That way you're able to understand it in depth. But do not worry, right? I believe we're going to have a very beautiful ride together. And thank you so much, so Adetunji Adekoke, for what you have mentioned. Of course, when we get to the software part, we'd also get to understand very well, right? Thank you so much for your contribution. I really appreciate hearing your beautiful voices. And of course, I look forward to hearing more of it as the class goes on. So, exploring motherboards, processors, and memory. Now, these three things that we mentioned here, these three components, right? They're called the Holy Trinity of computers. This means that you'd always, most times when you want to learn about motherboards, you get to learn about processors and you get to learn about memories. So pretty much every computer we have has these three things. In fact, if they are not there, then I'm not sure you can call it a computer, right? So let's move on to the next slide, right? Next slide. Okay, so the components that are generally inside the computer case. Now, I want you to know that the most fundamental components of all, when it comes to your computer, is the core hardware, right? They are the ones that work together to give you those functionalities that you want in your computer. So let's talk about some of these components that you find inside the computer case. No, there are some you find only inside the case, and there are some that will be found outside. While there are some you can find them both inside and outside. For an example of this is the memory, for example. Now we have internal hard drives, and we also have external ones. Usually we have internal hard drives in our laptops, in our desktop computers, right? But we also have the external hard drives, which helps to provide more storage space. Apologies, please. Just give me a minute. I need to quickly attend to something.
No, I'm not backing out. I'll let my mood.
Give her a few minutes. If you have not filled up the attendance form, kindly do that. And for those who are asking about student number in the attendance form, please take note that on this call, like we did mention earlier, we do have our existing students, the NID students, and we have new students. So if you are not part of our NID, existing NID students, kindly just put your name in the student ID field and then fill up the rest. But for our NID students, please put in your student number. Okay, so I hope that takes care of that inquiry.
All right, thank you so much. It is back. Apologies for that short to just a distraction, okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
all
as I
right.
was saying, right? So I said we have internal hard drives and we have external ones. I'm sure many of us are familiar with external hard drives. When I was in university, I used to keep a lot of movies on my external drive. And I remember when it got spoiled, I'll not tell you what I did. I actually cried a lot, right? I cried a lot because I had over 500 gig of movies on it. But that's just story for another day, right? Okay, so we must understand that talking about computer cases now. So computer cases usually they can be metal, it can be plastic, different materials that just help you to keep the components in the computer. They help you to keep them securely. They help you to put them together in one place. They keep them from harm, and they also help to ensure that airflow is constant to prevent it from overheating. Now, remember, we're going to be talking about cooling. So when we get to cooling, we get to speak more on overheating, right? Now, I want you to understand that we must keep the components of the computer very safely. We must keep them from water, must keep them from other liquids. Now, remember when water, was it water or hot tea? Yes, hot tea poured on my laptop and got into the laptop, spoiled. I mean, of course, I believe you know how it goes, right? So many of us have had instances where water actually poured on our laptops and our phones. Can you share with me? Have you ever maybe mistakenly dropped your phone in water or mistakenly poured water on your laptop or who has poured tea on their laptop like me? Come on. I would like to see on the chat who has poured tea on their laptop like me, like myself, right? Nobody. Wow. Does that mean I am the only person that has ever poured tea? Wow, okay, not tea. What about water? Oh my God, wow. I'm so sorry for that. Adex. He said his own fell inside a pool. And I believe, fell inside a bucket full of water. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for that. Oh, yes. So you can see that water, liquid has nothing to do with our computers. So you can see Rain beats him with his laptop, water on his phone, myself, tea on my laptop, and so many other scenarios. So that means water has no business with your computer. Also dust, other liquids. So these things can actually get into the components and cause it to overheat and then just spoil it. Even direct sunlight are not supposed to, your computers are not supposed to be exposed to direct sunlight. So let's ensure that we keep our systems well. So now imagine if you have your laptop where you get to just see you see the motherboard, you see the wires connecting, just see the wires connecting and there's no case. How do you even get to move it around? Right? So the case of your computer, that body structure that has been given to the computer just helps your device to be easily mobile. So it helps you to be able to move your device, well. So let's get into the first major topic, right? As motherboards. So like I said earlier, we have the three, I mentioned they're called the Holy Trinity of computer, right? And the motherboard is like the backbone of your computer, right? It's basically, it connects all the major components together. It's like that center hub that holds everything together. So we call it the main board. Now, the first thing to know about your motherboard is that if you look at them, I'll show you a clearer picture, right? It's like they're printed circuit board, call them the PCB, right? They are laminated. So if you look at them, you see those lines, those colors. You see that they actually laminated on that particular board, and then the components are put together. Now look at this description of a motherboard. Who understands it? Who is able to understand these issues, ROG tricks? I mean, is this even human language? Who understands this? Can you raise up your hand if you understand what this actually is? If you understand what this is, that's the description of the motherboard. Who understands? It can't be only me that does not understand it though. There will be somebody. Oh, thank you so much, Martin. So Martin, can you kindly unmute and tell us what this alien language actually means? Martin.
Okay,
Okay.
I've unmute.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to unmute and speak. Okay, the description here we can see the Asus make, and this one is actually a gaming laptop. It's telling us the Wi-Fi configuration, and the RAM is DDR5 and the ATS technology. See, the motherboard here is DDR5, and this it's quite lengthy. You have so many PCIs. You have PCI 5.0, 16 rates. It has one HDMI slot, has one display port. USB is 20 gigabytes per second spot. Wow, it's really a gaming. So it's actually a fast system. It's very, very fast. And then the Wi-Fi is 7. When most gaming laptops are always on the highs, their spec are always very, very fast. So my little understanding of this specific discussion, yeah, I think that's what I can say
Thank
about
you
it.
so much, Martin. See, I'm clapping here for you virtually. I wish I could see you right now. Just take my just bow for you, like oh, pause. Thank you so much for explaining that to us. I was like, what's this thing? I sure this is not some alien language. So that is it. So really, by the end of this course, if you actually take my advice seriously by going deep to do your research, when you see these things, right, they'll not be alien to you any longer, right? You just understand them when you see them. So those computer village guys, if you're in Lagos and you're familiar with computer village, right? When they just give you just specs or job, you just say, come on, I understand this thing, I know this thing. You cannot tell me what is not, okay? So I just want you to I just know that you're going to get all of this at the end of the class. So now this is a clearer picture of the motherboard. Can you see it? So you see, this is what the motherboard looks like. Of course, we have various kinds of different types based on the brand, right? So you can see that there are devices that are physically attached to it, and many of them are not to be removed, right? They are not to be removed. You can see that various slots that have been filled on this. So we have the RAM slots, the expansion slots, we have various chips that we would find on the motherboard. Now, let's move on to the next thing. So do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, right? So, I mean, we're supposed to talk about all of these things. I know. They look plenty. How are we going to talk about this thing by the end of this class? But don't worry. I just need you to have, a glimpse and just little understanding of this thing. So if you understand it, them, you would understand the motherboard. I think somebody muted me earlier. I think that was a mistake, right? Okay, so let's look at form factors. Now, motherboards come in different sizes, as I mentioned earlier. So they come in different sizes, different shapes. So this is what we call the form factor. The form factor basically is the size. And you can see we have various form factors in existence. However, the most common ones are the ATX, the micro ATX, and we also have the ITX, right? Now, usually we have we have different kinds, and they usually are specially designed to be paired. So this micro ATX and ITX are specially designed to be paired with low wattage power supplies. Now, I do not want to be speaking let's say computer gibberish or computer jargons, right? So I'll just speak them as humanly as possible, right? Basically, we have different kinds of motherboards that comes in different sizes. Some of them consume more power than the other. Some of them produce, or let's say generate more heat than the other, right? Now, these are various sizes. Can you see them? See the sizes and even the release here, if you can see my screen. So you can see that some are larger than the other in size. So can you see, so they are created to also suit a particular device. So we have smaller computers now. We do not just have big desktops. We have phones, we have tablets. So that means the form factor of the motherboard of these computers have to suit the size of these devices, right? So that's why we have them in various sizes and various functionalities, right? So imagine if your phone were to have a motherboard as big as that of the laptop. I mean, how big would our phones be? So that means they were just created to suit the size of the particular device that we're created for, right? So we'll move quickly to chipsets. Now, chipsets are like the engine room of the motherboard. Basically, what they do is they handle communication between the components. And there are two main chipsets. We have the North Bridge and we have the South Bridge, right? Now, the North Bridge basically does high-speed peripheral communication, while the South Bridge provides support to onboard slower peripherals, right? Now, a simple Google search would help you to just deepen your understanding of these things, right? So, like I said earlier, do your research to help you to learn and be grounded deeper in these things. Now look at this picture, right? This is the North Bridge and the South Bridge, but they are not separated. They are not distinctly separated. Because in today's world, this is 2024, we now have single chip that perform both functions, that perform both the North Bridge function and the South Bridge function. So are you following? I'd like to confirm we are following. Can you give me reactions? Maybe not in the chat, but just give me reactions. I'd like to see your reactions from the React and function. Yes, thank you so much. I can see your reaction. Yes, thank you. So I just want to ensure that you are following. Okay, it's great to see that many people are actually following. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So without taking much of our time again, I'll just move straight to, okay, we've spoken about this already. Okay, yes, so this was the image of the chipset I was showing you earlier. I see that this is actually one, but the North Bridge, South Bridge, they're actually on the same chip, right? So we'll move quickly to processor socket slide. Now, what is the CPU? The CPU basically, as the brain is to the human being, is the brain of the computer. Now, we have different kinds of processors for our computers, but to pick the right processor for a computer is to pick the one that fits into the socket, right, that has been provided by the motherboard, right? So that means you cannot just take a random processor and say, oh, it will definitely work with this motherboard. No. So that means there's a part of compatibility. They have to be compatible with the slots. Can you see that rectangular slot? With that slot that has been provided by the motherboard, right? So processors basically, like I said earlier, they're the brain of the computers, right? They carry out various instructions in your software, making sure that everything that you tell the computer to do, actually the computer is able to do them smoothly. So it's able to handle a lot of tasks, right? And if your CPU is not properly cooled, it is going to fry. Basically, your CPU is going to fry, it's going to burn out. So this is why we have fans. We have fans attached to them, right? So we have fans attached to them. So each processor has its own matching socket. So move to memory slot slide. I hope we are following, right? I hope we are following. So move to the memory slot slide. Now that we have seen how the brain works, let's look at the memory that actually supports the brain. Now, memory is basically where your computer stores data. When you say memory, as storing something, storing information, storing data. Now, the RAM, which is the random access memory, right? They store data temporarily. While the ROM stores data permanently. So the RAM stores data, it stores the data that you're currently using. But once your computer goes off, it just goes poof. So that means that's why we call the RAM volatile. Volatile means it's kind of like, more like it can evaporate. So the RAM has short memory, right? But the RAM is non-volatile. It's able to save your data even if there is no electricity to power your computer, right? Whatever it is that you've saved stays on the RAM. So the RAM basically, the more RAM your computer has basically is the more work, the more functionality it's able to take, right? Is how high it's able to multitask. So if you realize that your computer is slowing down often, probably you are running out of RAM. So now the RAM holds the memory chip. It holds the memory chip basically. So we'll still talk about memory later in the class. So I'll just move on to the expansion slot. Now, the most visible part of any motherboard, when you see a motherboard, the most visible parts you can see on the motherboard, they are basically the expansion slots, right? So they're usually like small plastic slots, right? You can see them usually from about 1 to 6 inches long, right? And as their name suggests, so who can tell me, oh, expansions, the definition is already on my slide. And I said, who can tell me what an expansion slot does? So basically, maybe not all of the things you want your computer to do is made available on your motherboard, but the expansion slot basically allows you to be able to install extra things, right? You can install a video card, the network one, sound, just to give your computer more functionality, like it's able to do more things. So if you look at your motherboard, the motherboard of your computer, you most likely see either of this. Either see the PCI, the AGP, and the PCI Express, right? So I'll move to the next slide. Quickly. So are we still following? Can I see in the chat box if you are still following me? So if you know you are following me, if you know you are following this class, like following the class very well, I want you to give me some of those reactions. Give me those reactions. I want to, thank you so much. I can see those reactions. Yes, thank you. So I want us to follow this class. So the class is a long class, right? So it is easy for us to be distracted, but I want us to be following, like, hey, Mr. Martin said he's following seriously. Thank you very much for that. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I wish I could gift everybody. What can I gift everybody in this class? Let's wait to the end of the class first. I'm coming. I'm coming. Thank you very much. All right, so this is like a clearer picture of the motherboard, and you can see the expansion slots, right? Okay, so let me quickly move to the next thing. So, because we still have a lot to cover, right? We have these controllers, right? So this basically store data and allow it to be retrieved later. So one of the enduring features of your computer is that your computer can store data and allow it to be retrieved later. So imagine if you're unable to store data on your computer and retrieve it later. I mean, what's your point? So it's just as good as the human brain, where someone can tell you something and just forget. Of course, there are times that we lose our data, right? But the long-term storage device is called the hard drive, and it plugs into the motherboard. So we have different hard drives, connectors, right? So you see them on the motherboard. They're usually evident when you see motherboard, you see them evidently on the motherboard. Move quickly to the power connectors, right? Power connectors. Now, from primary school, I learned that computers are electronic devices. No wonder if there is no power, if probably like the way fuel is expensive in Nigeria now. For example, myself, I get to work hybrid. Once there's no light in my house, just carry myself to the office. Why? Because my computer cannot work without electricity. No, so my laptop is not a television, right? I mean, it's able to store small data, small power. But after a while, when I exhaust the power, then I'll not be able to use my computer again. So this is obviously because computers are electronic devices. They're electronics. I mean, that's why we call them electronics, right? They require power. So there's usually a special connector, the parts where your motherboard receives power supply. Because without power supply, your computer will not come on. And we move next to the BIOS, the firmware. Now, basically, firmware is the name given to any software that is encoded in hardware. And usually read-only. Usually, there are some things that your computer can do without you giving it extra instruction, without it receiving extra instruction from your operating system, right? So the firmware basically is great for situations where there are specific routines that your computer follows, right? There are specific things that your computer. So the best example of firmware is your computer's basic input output system. That's what we call the BIOS, right? And it is bound into the flash memory chip located on the motherboard. So apart from the processor, the most important chip on your motherboard is the BIOS chip. So usually a special memory chip contains, so this special memory chip, right, it contains your BIOS system software. So it helps to boot your system, to initiate the memory. It allows your hard drive to, and it allows your operating system to start, basically, to just function, those things that it does without extra push, extra nudge. Basically, that's the work of this. Don't worry, you still get deeper knowledge on how BIOS work, how firmware works, right? Great. So move on to the next thing. So I find this really exciting, right? I find CMOS and CMOS battery really exciting. So what has heard of CMOS before? If this is your first time of hearing this, can you signify can you signify by just showing me in the chat box that this CMOS, I'm a boss. I understand this thing. I know it very well. So I'll just say, yeah, now, come and teach us, come and teach us. So who knows what CMOS means? Who has heard of it before? Can you signify in the chat box? Oh, only if Oluwa says, oh, okay, great. First time. Wow. Okay, great. So that means you understand the meaning of it today. Even though I'll say it briefly, you still understand the meaning of it today. So if you can see my slide very well, right? Okay, so moving, I apologize. I'm a Yoruba girl, but my Yoruba is quite terrible, okay? So you said you only know the full meaning. You're familiar with it, okay, great. Now, for my slide, you see that, okay, let me start with this scenario that I put on the slide, right? So your PC, usually, so there are some settings on your computer, right? Like the date, the time, some configuration that you've already, put together on your computer. Now, imagine if every time you put on your computer, you have to set the time again, or you have to change the background again. Me, for example, I make use of dark mode on my computer. Now I have to change it back to dark mode again. I have to do this and do that. That can be so tiring. So this is where CMOS comes in. So the pronunciation is what? CMOS. So it means complementary metal oxide semiconductor. So really, what it does is it helps to keep that memory, right? The special memory chip just keeps all your settings. It keeps it there, right? Then the CMOS now has a battery. It has a battery, right? Because remember that the computer needs power to continue to function. So there's this extra power, extra battery, even when your computer is not plugged, even when your computer is not currently, there's this small battery that is on your motherboard. It looks like a watch battery, or like just really round. You see, I'll show you a better picture in the next slide. So it prevents your CMOS from losing the important information that you've put in place. So let's look at it better here. Oh my God, I thought I actually did it. Okay, so let me increase this. So I don't know if you can see it. So usually this is the CMOS battery, right? So it just helps your computer to store the settings that you've put on it, so that you do not lose all of those settings. So you don't have to go through stress. I mean, computers are supposed to help us make life easier. So if I have to stress over my computer every time, then I mean, I do not want it, right? So I hope this is clear. So basically, some settings I put in place are stored on the CMOS, and the CMOS battery powers the CMOS to ensure that it is powered constantly, so it's not lose your information. Remember, we talked about the RAM that just goes poof once power supply is off. So this one is different from the RAM. Why? Because it is constantly powered. So I'm sure many of us are familiar with this, the back panel, right? So if you have ever looked at the back of a computer, usually if you look at the desktop, like this, the CPU, or you see plenty ports. Like, what's all these plenty ports? Some of us even mistakenly connect the wrong, although it's usually pretty obvious. I mean, when you want to connect a cord, or when you want to connect to the port, right? But I mean, there are just plenty different connectors, There are plenty. You see the one for power, you see the one for audio, video, keyboard, mouse. Thankfully, we make use of laptops that already encompasses all of these things, right? So usually these ports, right? These ports that you see, they are usually attached either to the motherboard or to the expansion card. Now, for example, if you connect the power, if you try to power this, right? When you connect the power to it, it connects to the motherboard and power it on, right? Now, if you connect a video card, usually you connect it to the expansion card. So usually it is connected to two things as indicated on the slide, the motherboard or the expansion card. So we'll get to understand the expansion card. Okay, I think we spoke about expansion card already. So basically, they help you to just add more functionality. So imagine you have your monitor that's not your big monitor. I mean, those big ones we used to use in the 1900, right? And they do not have speakers like our laptops. They do not have speakers attached. So now you have to now connect a speaker to that to your computer to be able to get the output. So you have to connect even the monitor itself so you can see. So all of these ports are the ones responsible. So you can see them outside here, but on the inside, they connect to the motherboard and the expansion cards, as the case may be. All right, so talking about the front panel. So even though, of course, the front of your computer usually is not as chaotic as your panel, the back panel that we saw earlier, there's usually still a lot going on, like a lot of things are going on. So all these things here, they are speaking more like those olden computers, like maybe not olden as the case may be, maybe desktop computer, but I know many of us are familiar with laptops and all. So basically our laptops, if you look at your laptop, most times when you just want to power on, they just put it in places that help us to easily access them. So you can easily power on, you can easily connect, you can easily do this and that. So they've actually made things easier for us. That's the computer manufacturers. Okay, so that means there's no need for me to speak on this again since our computer lord has already explained it. So if you don't understand it more, you need to reach out to Mr. Martin for that beautiful explanation. He will explain it to you even more than I'll explain it, right? So there's just something I want you to note. When you write Wi-Fi, right, the correct, I mean, people write Wi-Fi like this, but the correct way usually is with an hyphen. That's like the correct standard way of, pronouncing, writing, or spelling the Wi-Fi. So when you're able to understand this, so that means nobody can do shakara for you when you want to go and buy your laptop, when you go to computer village, someone will not just be giving you some computer gibberish or computer jargon. If you say your own, I know my own too. Bring it, I know it. Don't tell me nonsense. Don't tell me what is not. I understand this thing very well, right? But again, remember you have to do your research, do your research. That's what makes you the pro, okay? So quickly, we'll look at processors. Look at processors. Now, have you ever checked the processor of your computer before? Have you ever checked it before? So we'll do a quick practical. Right? So, but the processor really is the most important component. I mean, I've said plenty most important. Really, can we just say one is more important than the other? They work together. Right? So, but again, because we're on processors, I'll say the processor is the most important component on the motherboard right now. So basically, what does the CPU does? So processor, CPU, you can use them interchangeably, right? Central processing unit. So they control we mentioned earlier, we've talked about it earlier, the CPU is the brain of the computer. Although it being the brain of the computer does not mean your computer can think on its own. No. You still need to give it command. You still need to tell it to do things. No, we still have software, programs that have been written to direct the computer to do what it ought to do. But basically, I'll still call it, and we still know it as the brain. So we have various CPU manufacturers, but the most common ones, I'm sure that many of us have seen, the Intel and the AMD. They are the two largest PC compatible CPU manufacturers, right? So, okay, so I do not want to take much of our time, but when you see a CPU on a motherboard, you say, you this thing, are you sure you are the brain of the computer? See how unimpressive you are looking. You're not even fine. Sorry, I don't mean to say that, right? But it looks so small for the kind of work it actually does. It looks so small for the kind of work it actually does. It is a really powerful, right? And again, I mentioned earlier, if your CPU does not have a fan, usually when they produce them, they usually put fans with them, or what we call heat sink, that would help to generate, help to cool the processor. Because if the processor is not cooled enough, your processor will just fry within seconds, right? So ensure that your computer is not too hot. When you notice that it's too hot, some of us actually have computers that go off themselves. When they are too hot, they just go off. So those ones have inbuilt, let's say, protection, as it were, to help to prevent your internal components from frying. I like to use the word frying. So to just be ringing your head, frying, frying. I don't want my CPU to fry, okay? So the most important characteristic that your processor can have is its compatibility. Remember, compatibility is key when we're dealing with your internal devices. I remember a time that one of my friends, his motherboard actually got bad, and they had to find the one that works with that particular computer. they have to also find components that work. They have to just do something to ensure that they are compatible. Because if they're not compatible enough, well, the case is that it will not even work. It will not even be able to be plugged in at all. So basically, the processors are made up of millions of transistors. They let power through based on the state. So usually there are two states, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with. So talking about binary, we have 0 and 1. So when it is 1, it is on. When it is off, it is 0. So basically, the computer does not understand this, our English and Yoruba and all. It just understands math. So it works based on some instruction sets that has been given to it, right? So basically, we have processors that are 64 bits and we have 32 bits. I mean, obviously, the higher number is going to be faster. It's going to work better than it's 32 bits. I put 32 bits cousin. Yeah. So they are cousins. Call them cousins, right? All right. So we'll be speaking on memory. But before I speak on memory, which one does your computer use? Does it use a 32-bit or 64-bit? Kindly signify in the chat. I'd like to hear from you. Which one does your computer use, 32-bit or 64-bit? Have you ever checked it at all? Do you even know how to check it? If you don't know how to check it, write it there too. I don't know how to check it. So we learn that in this class. So I'd like to hear. So I'm waiting. Okay, so I don't know what's going on. I feel like someone keeps muting me. Right? So please, Idris or Mercy, kindly help me see to that. Right? So 64 bits, some people said they do not know how to check it. Don't worry, we're going to see it together in this place. We'll check it together. So, but I want to believe that your laptops are on with you or your computers are on with you, right? Okay, great. Okay. So quickly, we'll talk about memory before we, I just spilled the bean, but let's quickly talk about memory, yeah. So generally speaking, right, your memory can either be static or dynamic. Now, when it is static, it means that it is non-volatile. It is stable. When something is static, that is stable. It does not require power to maintain its contents. It does not require power to maintain what you've put on it. But you see that dynamic memory, right? It is volatile and it must be constantly powered to retain its content. And remember, we've spoken about that earlier. So we spoke about the ROM and the RAM. So the ROM stores data permanently, right? And it takes, it is always static. So the BIOS on your motherboard is on the ROM chip. But the RAM, right, it can be written on the device in which it is installed. And this is because it's called RAM really, because the data is stored on whatever location are available on it. So again, remember I mentioned earlier that the freer the RAM in your computer, the larger the available workspace. That is, the better, the faster your computer works. So again, if your computer runs slow on RAM, well, that means you might want to check the RAM. So let's do a quick practical. So who is with me? So I like to get the reactions. Who's with me? So for people that do not know how to check their RAM, let's check it together. I'll not be sharing my screen. I'll not be giving you a description on how to get it, right? So I don't want to disrupt what I'm sharing, but I believe I will be doing it as I am saying. So I'd like to get, before I continue, we have to get reactions. We have to get reactions. Who is with their computer? If you have your computer here, kindly signify. I want to see your computer. I want to see I have my computer on. I have my computer on. Or I do not have my computer on, but I'll be trying this after the class, right? All right, thank you so much for those that have their computers. So it's very important that you have your computer on. Remember, this is a computer class, right? It's better to practice immediately the class is going on. It's better to take notes. Take note of those things you come back to. Those things that you understand better. Those things you go to ChatGPT. This man said his computer is always on. I'm so proud of you. You're my brother. We are very similar. My computer is always on, right? All right, thank you so much, right? So quickly, So in your Windows search box, I believe many of us can locate, so that Windows icon, click on it. That starts, that Windows icon, click on it. So if you have clicked on it, I want you to type about, just type about. Type about. So if you type about, it should lead you to somewhere like this. If your computer is like mine, if your computer is in dark mode like mine, it should lead you to something like this. It should lead to about your computer. Now, if you look at it deeper, so wait, let me first confirm if everybody is on the same page. Are we all on the same page? Oh, okay, great. Yes, you can check your information on Android. You go to about your phone, right? You should see how the information is done. Okay, so if you're having issues with this, can you signify if you're having issues with this at all? So I'll confirm. So I'll try to share my screen. Are you having any issue with getting here? If you're having issues with getting here, kindly confirm in the chat box. Let's see how it is. Tell me I'm having issues with getting to this. That's if you're using a Windows system. And if you have gotten here, so I can see some people have it here. Okay, no issues. Which other person? Please, I'd like to hear from us so that we can know that we are all following. Who else is having, who is having any issue? So that means all of us are fine. So Philip already has signified that his processor is a 64-bit. That's a 2.6. Can you see that? Core i5. So you can see mine. I'm using this Intel Core. Can you see it? Can you see the installed RAM? I have 12 gig. I have 11.57 gig usable, and many other device information, right? You see the system type, it's a 64-bit operating system, right? So once you just type about, so that means nobody's having issues. So that was really, something really easy for us to navigate. That's very good, very, very good. I have really smart people in this class, and I'm just so proud. Now, there's something that many of us have not checked before, and that's the virtual memory. So you don't need to type in the chat, right? Just give me a reaction if you've heard of virtual memory on your computer before. Have you heard of virtual memory? Just give me a reaction. If you're able to give a reaction, give me a reaction. Let's see. Let me be sure that there are people that know of this, and maybe there are some people that have never heard of it. Oh, okay. Okay, Fadex, your Windows 11 Pro, 16 gig RAM. This is a boss. This is a boss. Your own is bigger than my own, but don't worry now. No worry. I'll also get an upgrade, right? I'll get an upgrade. Okay, so Abiola said yes. I don't know if it's a he or she has heard about virtual memory. Okay, so without taking much of our time, oh, okay, so we have more people that have heard of virtual. Okay, some other persons have not heard of it. So I think I'll be sharing my screen now. In this case, right? In this case, I'll be sharing my screen to show us how to find the virtual memory. But before we find it, let's see what it does. Now, remember that your Windows, right? Many operating systems, basically, including Windows, uses a large amount of RAM to operate. But there are times that for your system to be able to carry out a particular task, right, it might not have enough RAM to do everything that you want it to do. So as to not deny you from what you need your laptop to do. So many of these operating systems have virtual memory to take up the slack, right? Usually just a portion of your hard disk that will just come in when the RAM is unable to, when the RAM is like, let's say overstretched, right? Right, so another name for it is the swap file, paging file, right? So let me show you quickly how to check the virtual memory on your computers. So I want to try to share the whole of my screen. Please hold on. I want to try to share the whole of my screen so I can show you how to get the virtual memory, right? Please hold on. So it's not complicated at all. It's not complicated at all. It's really simple. So let's go back. So let me schedule on my screen. Let me try to do that. Okay. Whole screen. If you see some if you see some things on my computer, just do as if you don't see it though. Just do as if you don't see it at all. Right? Just do as if you don't see anything you see on my computer. Okay. So please hold on. I'm trying to just clear some things from my screen. Please hold on. Please hold on. Please hold on. Okay, great. So I just want my screen to show basically what it needs to show. Okay. So let me try to share my whole screen now. Screen. Okay, so who can see my whole screen? If you can see my whole screen, kindly signify. Kindly signify you can see my whole screen. Hello, is anybody here?
I can see it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Edith. Thank you very, very much. Mr. Adekunle Asimiyu, thank you so much for this information. Thank you so much for this. So you see that, so I'll show you how Mr. Adekunle was able to get this information, this thing that he actually put on his screen. I'll show you how I got it. So can you see my screen going to start? Can you see it? Yes, thank you. So I'll just put about. If I type about, you see about PC. I'll just open it. All right. Can you see it? And this has the information about my computer. You see that? So how Adekunle was able to paste or just to copy. See, if I copy this and come to paste in the chat, you see the information. Right. I don't know if you can see my screen. You can see my screen, but don't worry, I'll not be pasting everything. I just go back, right? So that's why if you just want to quickly get the information, instead of typing everything one by one, that's really stressful. Just copy. So I want to show us how to see the virtual memory on our system. So if you can see advanced system setting, kindly signify. I'd like to see if you can see advanced system setting, kindly signify. Yeah, I'm not hearing from us. So okay, great. So I'm going to click on it now. Can you see that? So ensure you're doing it just like I am doing. So who has done this? Advanced system. So let me go back and do it again to be sure that everyone is following, right? Okay. Advanced system setting. Click on it. Good. So we see performance, right? Performance. Click on settings. Settings. Are we there? So you keep seeing some dialog boxes coming up. So that means you're on the right path. Don't be confused, okay? Don't be confused at all. Don't be confused, right? So I believe many of us have done this already. Then we'll move to advanced. And here we have it. Ta-da! We have it. So you see it's called a paging file. So you can see it's called a paging file here. It's an area on the hard disk that Windows uses as if it were RAM. So it uses as if it were your RAM. In case of your RAM, not being able to handle what it is supposed to handle. So for my own laptop here, I have 2000, so I have 2 gig plus of well, seems like my net out, but will not be shaking. Will not be shaking irrespective of the network that wants to do anyhow. We'll overcome this network situation, right? Okay, so how many of us? Okay. Yes, so somebody just gave us another trick. to getting it, right? So he said, so FADEX said, if you check the chat box, FADEX has been really helpful. I appoint him the assistant lecturer in this class. So he has been really helpful, right? So he said you can also check by pressing Windows R and type TX diag. So let's do that. So let me share my whole screen and let's do that. Let's see what FADEX told us to do. Let's be sure that this assistant lecturer herself knows, he knows this thing. He's hot. He knows this thing. Okay, let me share my whole screen, okay? Again, I'm sharing my whole screen. Again, okay. Great. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to cancel this. All right. So he said we should go to WinR, right? Are we also, so I want to ensure that all of us are doing it though. Are we also doing these things? You know, you need to show yourself like the pro that you are. You're not smart at all in this life. You're a pro. Some people are still going to a bout. You just do WinR. You just do, see me typing WinR, right? So you just do Windows R rather. So he said we should type. So I'm trying to copy what he said we should type. Right. And okay. Okay. So I'm trying to see. Okay, great. So you see, it even gave us in another, should I say another design? In another design. So see, me, I've tried it though. See, I'm learning on this computer. I'm learning on this in this class, just as well as every other person. So thank you so much, FADEX, for that simple way of getting it. So just do Windows R. Please don't need to type WinR like me. That was a mistake, right? Just do Windows R. Just like, you know, various other functions that you can do with the Windows key. So the Windows on your keyboard, you see the Windows key. Just press it and press R at the same time, and you get to it. So you can see even more information. You can see the system manufacturer, you can see the current time and dates, you can see the Phoenix BIOS, you can see the BIOS, see more information, right? So you can even look at other things, deeper things about your computer. So thank you so much, FADEX, for that. So I'll stop sharing again and share the particular, just the slide now, right? Move on. We still have a lot to cover. But please, I want to confirm, are we getting value in this class? I hope you're like already excited that there's so much to learn. No. So kindly signify in the chat, I am getting value in this class. Because myself, being the teacher, myself, I am getting value. So kindly signify, are you getting value in this class? If you don't tell me if you are getting value or not, I'll not move forward. We'll just be looking and we'll just wait on virtual memory until I hear from us. Okay. I am getting responses already. Thank you so much, Kwalumi. Thank you, Shedrack. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for your response. I am so excited that all of us are in this class together. Thank you. Right. In fact, this class is, so another name for this class is value packed. I'm not talking about only this class, though. I'm talking about the whole course and even transformation college. I say, oh, we're getting lots of value for just little commitment. So the main commitment is you giving yourself, right? Great. Okay, so I was going to just share my screen on this, but we've seen this already. So move on to memory bus, which I'll just speak on briefly. I don't want to take time on it at all. I don't want to dwell on it at all, right? So basically, the memory bus is the pathway. See it as road. It's just a road that delivers data to and fro your memory. So that's what the memory bus is. And it has a speed. And this speed determines how quickly your data will travel on this pathway. So usually it says the system timer determines the speed at which your data enters the processor, basically. So again, just delve deeper, go and do more research. What was memory? I want to understand this memory bus. ChatGPT, explain this thing to me like a 5-year-old. And you see that you get it, okay? So I'll move to the next slide. Apologies, okay? So basically, you can see the memory modules form factors. Remember how we said form factors are? They're basically the size. So you can see all of this in different sizes, different shapes. So this is it, basically. So that takes us to the next thing. Okay, so are you tired already? Or should we move on? So if you are not tired, if you are excited to learn more, I just want you to react. Don't need to type in the chat box. Just react. Just give me that reaction. Let me give my own reaction. Me, I'm not tired of speaking, no. I like speaking. I like talking. And I am not tired already. I'm just so ready to give us so much value in this class. Okay? Yeah, I'm also, okay, I can see reactions already. Oh, thank you so much, Kazim Bello, for not being tired. You cannot be tired. We are hardworking people in this place. I will give it all it takes to get what we want. Okay? So we'll be exploring storage and expansion devices. I will not want to bore us in this class, but again, we want to understand all there is. So now that we understand, so we've seen memory, we understand memory. So let's quickly check where all our files are stored. All the data on your computer, we check them. How are they stored? So remember we spoke about the big three things: the motherboard, the processor, and the RAM. We've actually touched each of them one way or the other, right? Now, they fall on one of two camps, right? They fall on one of two camps. They are either long-term storage or they expand your system's functionality. Talking about expansion, that means, for example, for a desktop, you need to probably connect your mouse. No, don't let me even use mouse now. You can connect an external speaker. You can connect a speaker for its functionality, for the sound functionality to work. That means you've expanded the functionality of your system. We also have audio. We also have network access, right? So let's go deeper into this. All right. So we have hard drives, right? Now, it says computers will be a lot less useful. That is, they'll be literally useless to us. Like we said earlier, imagine your computer is unable to store data. It's not able to store it for a long time. That's your point. Then I'd rather keep everything in my brain. Yes, definitely. You'll be getting a soft copy of this lecture. You get the slide, and you also get but it's good that we listen to the explanations. Good that we participate in the class. See, the best students are those that actually participate in class and go back to do their research. I cannot emphasize researching enough, right? Okay. So computers will be a lot useless, like they'll be very, very useless if you're unable to store our data long term, right? So this is where hard drives come in. And we're going to be looking at two types. We're going to be looking at HDDs and SSDs, right? So let's look at HDD first. So HDD basically is called the hard disk drive. And who has time to say hard disk drive every time? I beg, hard drive, hard disk, for short, simple. So basically, they are used to permanently store data, and you can quickly access what you've put on it. So basically, they help us hold our data, the data on your computer, to help your computer to work smoothly. But one thing about hard drives, like they differ in size, they differ in speed, and they also differ in the material that are used to make them, right? So hard drives, they make use of magnetic storage medium, right? And this differentiates them from SSDs, right? So this is the inside of an hard drive. Looks like these old music players that just spin. So if you have seen an old music player before, then you can connect the dot and say, oh, this looks like. So when you see an old music player in a movie or in a video, just help you to remember the inside of a hard drive, right? Now, when you want to evaluate your hard drive, or when you want to even buy one, you need to consider two factors, as I mentioned earlier: the size and the speed. So I remember a former hard drive I had, that one I told you that got bad. All my movies just disappeared, and I cried a lot, right? So I actually had two, right? First one was quite fast. Like if you send something, just goes fast. Then there's the other one that just takes a lot of time. So that's even talking about external one, right? That also applies. So inside your computer too, right? The size is usually self-evident. I'm talking about size. I'm not even talking about the size of the physical size of the hard drive, talking about the capacity to store data. So usually you just see the information, you can see them in gigabytes. Some people make use of 1 terabyte of hard drive on their computers, while some have as small as 200 and something gig. So basically the size, you can obviously easily see the size. Then speed, which I spoke about earlier. So hard drive, so speed so when I say speed now, at accessing what you have on the hard drive, right? So hard drive access is much slower than RAM access, right? So this is usually like the issue, the bottleneck when it comes to hard drives. Like it can be a bottleneck in your system performance, just making your system slow. So over the years, this world is evolving. We have improvements over time. So we have ones, we'll soon get to the SSD, right? So over years, manufacturers now try to increase the speed. Now, how does the speed even work? Now, you see that round, where is it? This thing. So it looks like something that's spin, right? So basically, to increase the speed, they increase the number of spins. So the spin, I'll call it revolution. So that's RPM. So the spin, that's the revolution per minute. That's the number of times it actually spins per minute. Determines how fast. Determines the speed. So we have various kinds of various speed. We have 5,400 RPM to 15,000 RPM. So if you look at these ones, obviously you can see 15,000 RPM would actually give us faster results than 5,400 RPM. Again, RPM means revolutions per minute. Revolutions per minute, right? So, but for desktop HDD, 7,200 RPM is the most common speed in use today. So we can see the speed on a table. You can see the size, rather, not speed now. The size, you see the bits, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, and petabytes, right? These are the sizes we have, storage units, storage size we have when it comes to our hard drives. The bit, 1 bit is the smallest unit representing a binary value. So we have bytes, we have kilobytes, and all of these, many of us are familiar with. Not to borrow us much, can just come back to them to just fully understand them for knowledge sake, for knowing them sake, and for your examination sake, okay? So usually the 2 common hard drive standards in marketplace are the parallel ATA and the serial ATA. So, but usually they've been around since the 1980s, but the faster ones, the newer ones are the satellite ATAs. Again, I don't want to bore us with so much gibberish, but regardless of the standard, really, the hard drive needs 2 connections to function properly, right? It needs power and needs a data cable. So power comes from the power supply, and data cable connects your hard drive to your motherboard. So usually everything when it comes to computer, you just talk about connectivity, connection. Remember, without power supply, it will not work. Then if the data cable is connected from the motherboard, it will not work too. So that means these 2 things are the best functions that we need when it comes to our hard drives. We need power. Again, I'm saying it, we need power and we need the data cables to connect to the motherboard. So we can see these are images, right? So this is the part where it connects to power. You can see it. So you can, of course, still do more research on your own. So quickly, we move to SSDs, right? Move to SSDs. When is our break? Our break is by 12, right? So I want us to quickly cover some of these things before our break. So SSD, I'm sure many of us are familiar with SSDs, right? And if I were to choose between HDD and SSD, right, I'll pick SSDs, right? Now, unlike hard drives, SSDs have no moving parts. So that thing that you saw that was spinning, that spins in the hard drive, we do not have that in the SSD. But it uses like a kind of a similar technology to flash drives, right? Just that they are bigger versions of flash drives. So of course they behave like the traditional HDDs, and This means that they retain whatever it is that you put on them when your system is powered off. Now, we have advantages of SSD over HDD that is more mechanical. They have faster startup and read times. Can you see? Less power consumption, silent operation. Now, that my hard drive used to make a lot of noise, right? But with SSD, you have less noise. Among other advantages that they have, they're talking about disadvantage, which, well, probably not a disadvantage, is how expensive. So it is more expensive than the hard drive, and also lack of longevity could be an issue. So in summary of SSD and HDD, SSDs are faster, they produce less heat, but they are more expensive than our HDDs. And also they come in various shapes and sizes. So as to how they are what's connected to our motherboard. So I will still following and ensure that I'm not just speaking to myself. Again, I like to get our reaction. I want to hear from us. I want to ensure that we are actually following this class. Okay, thank you so much, Adekunle. Thank you so much for your prompt response. Again, I need to see like 3 more reactions before I move on. Okay. I have more than enough. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I know many of us are familiar with this. That's the X. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for the network issues. I believe this class is being recorded, and you can always come back to the class. Class is recorded, and also the materials we shared with you. So I apologize for the network issues. Just one of those things that we have to put up with. Right, apologies for that, okay? So external flash drives. I'm sure if not all of us, most of us have this flash drive. And just like, so you can see them, they are connected through the USB ports. So some people call them thumb drives because they are as small as your thumb. They are small. Although the capacity is very less than your internal SSDs. So usually the maximum size of flash drives we have, I am open to correction, but the maximum size we have is 256 gigabytes. But the primary function benefit, what we enjoy the most about flash drives, is that you're able to carry them around, right? You're able to carry them around. Great. So if you connect a flash drive to your computer, in fact, if you go to, so let's do another practical, right? Let's do another practical, right? Quickly, if you go to this PC on your computer, you get to see the size of your computer and get to see the remaining one. So if you click on, so let me quickly, oh God, I have to share my screen again. So first of all, let me confirm, do we know how to get to this place? Do we know how to get to this aspect of our computers? I mean, this is mostly where any of us get to when, okay, yes. So Adekunle said yes. So I need response from other persons. Okay. So that means many of us know how to get here. Please, I need to see response. Only if I say a no, that's when I'll share deal on my screen. Okay, Oni Ifeoluwa says no. Okay, somebody is raising up his hand. Okay, so is there something you'd like to say? Kindly unmute and speak. Hello.
No, I'm only trying to say yes, I know how to get to that place.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Damilola, I think you're muted. Sorry, Damilola, I think you're muted, except if it's my internet then.
Oh my God, apologies. I've been speaking to myself. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, right? So I said, who can remind? So I said, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for sharing this shortcut with us, right? So you can see, we've been gaining a lot of value in this class. So earlier, the assistant lecturer in this class shared Windows R with us as an easy way to get specification on our computer. of our computer. And then to get to this PC, this aspect of our computer, so kindly type in Windows E. Let's try it out together. Windows E. And yes, we have it. So who else is there? Who else is there? If you are there, kindly signify. Kindly signify if you are there. I'd like to hear from us. Is nobody else in this class? I'll not continue. I'll just wait for us. I'll just wait for us. Okay. So have you done Windows? Have you done Windows E on your computer? Wait. Okay. So I can see a number of persons say they are there. Now, if you click on this PC, what can you see there? We click on this PC. Can you see the local disk? Can you see the local disk? So the local disk. So let me share this screen. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen so that you can see how I got it. So that's for people that don't know how to get there, right? So I'll share the whole of my screen. Okay. So kindly confirm if you can see the whole of my screen. Can you see the whole of my screen? Hello, everybody. I'd like to get reaction from us. So I wish this was a physical class, right? But as it is online, I have to get
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great. All right, so I'm going to just do Windows E on my end. I'm going to do Windows E. So just do as if you did not see all these things on my computer and just click on this PC. This PC. It should take you to somewhere like this. It should take you somewhere like this, right? So are we all there? So you can see that this computer has 382 gig in total space, right? Then I have only 77 gig free. Wow. So that means I've taken most of the space on my computer. Now, if you want to have more information, right, you can just right click and click on properties. Click on properties, you see much more information on your space. And you can just explore to see, just get to know much about the space in your computer. So I believe many of us that was quite simple to do. So I believe many of us were able to do that, right? So I'll just stop sharing and share again. So I'll just focus only on the slide. Okay, great. So kindly confirm that you can see the slide now. Kindly confirm that you can see the slide now. All right.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much, Edith. Thank you very much. So I do not want to take much of our time, right? So I'll just quickly talk about optical. Oh, is it time for our break already? Is it time for our break already?
Yes, it's time for a break actually.
Okay, so can we go on break by 12:10? Like in next by 12:10. So we'll just remove the 10 minutes from our resumption time. How is that?
Okay, we can go on break by 12:10, but we'll return by 1.
Oh, okay, great. So, well, this is something that we can just, quickly just read on our own. But computers have optical storage devices that are capable of reading the latest Blu-ray disc. So basically, optical drives, right? They replace floppy drives, and if your drive is capable of writing this disk to have, so sorry, all of this gibberish, right? I don't know how to bore us with it. I don't know how to also eat into your break mode. So we'll come back to it. Right? So these are various disk formats and the capacity.
I don't understand what
What did you say? I said we'll come back to it, right? I just want to quickly cover some other things, right? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, you're not speaking again. So I think we'll come back to it, right? Because I don't know, like, I want to quickly cover something in 5 minutes so we can go on our break for, that's 1 hour, right? So now talking about expansion devices, I know that I spoke about expansion devices, right? So I mentioned this earlier, we have video cards, we have sound cards. Now imagine your computer not having a video output. So imagine we are having this class now, you're not able to see what I'm sharing, or we're ever having meetings and I'm just speaking, you're unable to hear me. So that would not be nice. In fact, many of us don't even use computers at all. So that means, right, we need the audio and the video. So usually video adapters are, they're expansion cards that you put into your computer to allow your computer to display output on your monitor. We also have the sound cards. You can also call them audio cards. So basically what they do is they are imputed into your computer and they allow them to be able to do more functions than has been made available on your computer, right? Then we have network cards, right? Network cards. So it seems like every computer today, right, participates on the network. So usually in our office, at home. So the NIC, that's network interface card, is an expansion card that connects a computer to the network so that the computer is able to communicate with other computers on that network. So that, because without the internet, I mean, have you ever had instances where even on our phones, you're unable to access the internet? It's as though the phone is as useless as anything, right? So usually the internet helps to add much more functionality. Remember, expansion slots, or let's say expansion devices, help to add much more functionality to your computer, and one of them are the network cards. Okay, so I guess we can go on the break now. I'll come back to get on with the other things. So, but I just want to confirm again, I hope you have actually learned, even though you know some of them before, but I hope you have actually learned some things, or you have been reminded of some things again. So I'd like to hear from us. I'd like to hear from us in the chat box, right? Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So we'll be going on a break now. We're back by 12. Please, we are still going to delve deeper, right? So ensure you come back by 12:59. Like, ensure, in fact, if you can stay on the call, just stay on the call, right? Just stay on the call, and well, for your internet, well, just stay on the call so that I'll set an alarm for 12:50 so you can remind yourself to come back to the class, because there's still more to learn. Okay, so let's go on our break now. Back by one. Thank you so much, everyone.
I think you can start already. While the rest will join us, we can continue.
Okay. Kindly, I would like to share my screen now. Please hold on. All right, so welcome back, everyone. Kindly confirm that you can see my screen. Okay, welcome, Fadex. I can see you being active 100%. So I'd like to get reaction. No, I'm a reaction person now. I'd like to get reaction from some of us to be sure that we are here. Okay, I can see them already. All right. So I remember that I said I was going to explain what optical drives are. So I'll just quickly do that before we move on to the next thing. So I just really hope that the lady that mentioned that she don't understand is back on the call. I really hope so. But if not, you can get back to the recording and also do some personal research. So basically, when we talk about optical drives, right? They are devices that make use of light. They make use of light, or we can even call them laser. So that light is used to read or write information on a disk, right? And so when you think of this laser, it's like a tiny flashlight that just scans a disk to pick up information stored in that disk, right? So optical drives, they used to be, they were super popular in the 90s and 2000s. But now that we have USB drives, we have cloud storage and online streaming for everything. So why carry around, disks so I can have access to things that you can actually access online. So what do they actually do apart from shining lights? Basically, you can play music, you can access software, you can even view your files that you have stored on your CD, on your DVD. Remember, they shine their lights. So let's say like that, like they shine this optical ray, right, on the drive, on the disk. So as to be able to read the things that you have stored on the disk. Okay. So, but now that we have everything, things, many of them online. In fact, new laptops no longer make use of DVDs now, right? So, although they are still handy when you want to install some software or watch some old DVD, optical drives still come in place. But in today's world, we no longer really make use of them, right? So I just hope that is actually a clear explanation to optical drives. So we'll just move to the next topic that we have. And I'm going to be moving quicker than I was moving before. So we'll be talking on exploring power and cooling. And it's nothing different from everything that we've been saying since. It's not different from everything we mentioned here. I've talked about how if your computers do not have access to power, they will not come on. I also spoke about how your computers can get hot and fry themselves. I want that fry to just be in your head. My processor can actually fry and self-destruct if it does not have access to air. So without electricity, like I mentioned, there will be no computers. But the issue now is too much electricity will fry everything inside that box. So we must be able to create a balance to provide consistent power to your computer while ensuring that it is still protected. Because one thing about electronic devices, right, or electronic components, as the case may be, is they produce heat, right? And then mostly this heat depends on, so remember we mentioned how that we have various kinds of CPUs, we have various components, about them have various sizes, and some sizes are smaller and they conduct less heat and they're faster. So those things actually, those functionalities actually contribute to the heat, right? The heat that they produce. So we'll be looking at power supplies now, first of all, before we delve deep into cooling, right? Now, the device in the computer that provides power is what we call the power supply, right? So that I can call them the PSU, that's the power supply unit. So I put an image of the of this black box, right? So usually they convert, so they produce electricity, right? They convert them to DC voltage that the computer needs to operate. So the unit of power is watts. I believe many of us are familiar with that. And then the higher the number of watts, we must have heard of 100 watts, 20 watts, 50 watts, right? So the higher the number of watts, the higher the the power your computer is able to draw from the power supply, right? So again, look at this charger, the charger of the laptop, right? All of those things are also usually inscribed on those chargers, right? So this charger provides power supply to a laptop. Without this, you're unable to power your laptop. And if you use a laptop that is not compatible, a charger that is not compatible with particular laptop, it might actually spoil the battery or even destroy the motherboard, destroy the component. So that's why we usually have this usually have the number of watts, voltage, and all clearly inscribed on these chargers, right? So moving quickly on cooling systems without boring you, right, is again electronic components produce heat. But this heat, there must be something we must be able to use to balance this heat such that the heat does not destroy your component, right? So that's why we have cooling systems. So all computers today actually come with some sort of cooling systems to help remove or reduce this heat, right? So that's why most motherboard have this internal CPU heat sensor and the kind of CPU fan sensor. Because if your cooling fan is not active, then like I mentioned earlier, some devices will actually shut down themselves before the damage occurs. So I don't know if any of us make use of such systems where if they're actually very, very hot. So can you signify in the chat if you make use of systems like that, where if they are very hot, it just shuts. I think I've used one like that, just goes off by itself to stabilize the temperature before coming back. Is anyone familiar with such? I'd like to know from the chat. I'd like to know from the chat. You can just give a reaction to just signify that, oh yes, yes, thank you so much. So you have experienced that before, great. In fact, he mentioned that my iPhone actually has that feature. Great. So I'm very glad that many of us are actually familiar with this. Now, we have different types of CPU cooling methods, right? And the two most common ones are the air cooling and liquid cooling, right? So when it comes to air cooling, okay, the inside parts of most computers are actually cooled by air moving through the case. Now, for example, many of our laptops make use of air cooling, right? And that's why it is not advisable that when using your laptop, you place it on a bed or a place that does not allow air move, because it will just usually trap the air and make your laptop just extra like hot, unnecessarily hot, right? So usually it is advisable that you put it on a flat surface that just helps to stabilize the temperature. And also we have liquid cooling, which is the second most popular way to cool processors, right? Now, liquid cooling uses this special water block to conduct the heat away from the processor, right? And so this water is circulated through the block to the radiator and actually helps to cool the system. So we have something called the all-in-one cooler, and it is the most common type of liquid cooler for a home PC, right? So you can also do much more research on this to help you understand this better and better. Just delve deeper so you can be talking like the boss that you are when it comes to coolers and power supply. Okay, so actually putting this lab, right, we will not be talking on it yet. Now, I put this in hoping that if we get to finish the class fast, right, we would deal with it. Or it's not something for you to think on, right? So in this lab, you'll be given a task. So let's assume that you've been given a task to buy a new computer for a relative, right? And they've given you a very strict budget. Even though I don't know. I mean, you spend this money now, come on. So based on this budget, right, you have found 3 systems that are the same price. Now, remember that if you are to buy a computer, you have to first, so that's why when you go to buy a computer, they'll ask you, what do you want to use it for? Remember when our assistant lecturer was, what was he in? Oh God, I'm trying to confirm now. Was it the one that gave us the definition of what that motherboard description meant? Right. So I remember when somebody was, now I'm trying to remember your name, please. If you are the one, can you signify person that gave us the interpretation to? Okay. Okay, it was FADEX, right? Okay, great. So when FADEX was, so I remember his name, but I was thinking, was it FADEX or not? Yes. So I remember that I said, this one is a gaming laptop. Why? Because of the specs that I saw, right? So now there are different specs. So we have 3. So this slide will be shared with you. And you can even take a screenshot. If you're able to take a screenshot, so you can just have with you. But the slide will be shared with you, so not to worry much. So there are 3 laptops, so let's say systems here, and various specifications have been attached to them: the processor, the RAM, hard drive type, hard drive size, and all, right? Based on things that we've actually mentioned earlier. So now the question is this: based on the system specification, which one would you recommend and why? What specification made you not choose the others? Now, if you're looking for a computer for someone that played a lot of online action game, which one of them would you recommend and why? If your laptop were if the laptop were for a relative that actually travels a lot, which one would you pick and why? So we'll still hold that thought, right? I will get back to it soon enough. So let's speak to installing and configuring audio-video devices. So while we will not be physically installing some of them, but we'll gain some knowledge that would help us to be able to achieve this. Now, we've learned in previous slides that computers have internal sound card, right? And that's talking about, so they have internal sound cards or even audio cards that actually helps your computer to produce music, and all. Now, to hear sound, though, you need speakers, right? So I just want to understand that, of course, I'm sure we are familiar with this. Speakers usually come in various size, shapes. Some of them are cheaper. Like this headphone that I have right here is a speaker, right? So basically, you pick your speakers based on what you want to use it for. If you want to use it for a party, definitely not picking a headset. So if you want to just use for private study and your private meetings, you might want to pick your headset. So although most of our laptops that we have speakers inbuilt, our phones have speakers inbuilt, right? So look at this. Now the audio connector figure that you can see here shows the back panel connectors of a desktop system. So you can tell that these connectors they are built inside the motherboard, right? Because of where they're located. So if this system, for example, has a separate sound card or the audio, or should I say audio card now, the connector will actually be connected into the expansion slot, okay? So speakers, mostly we call them output devices. Microphones are called input devices, but you need to plug them in, right? So we have various ports. They are usually very, very hard to miss. Usually you see the shape of the connector and you just get to know that, oh, this is where I am to connect them, okay? So usually they're very hard to miss when you want to make these connections or configure your audio or video device. So they're really quite simple when you have the opportunity to access a desktop system. You can actually just intentionally try to connect those things. You will see that the connectors are very easy. You see the mount, usually they take the shape to be connected to. So those ones are really easy to do. Now, talking about display devices and connectors now. Now imagine, I said it now, I said it earlier, I said imagine having no monitors on your computers. What kind of computer is that one? I don't want to. Although the funny thing is that the earlier computers, right, they were basically used to, they actually did not have video, right? They don't have videos because they were used for academics and science, basically. So they did not actually need the video, should I say, did not need monitors, as the case may be. Many of them they made use of punch card. I don't know, I think I mentioned that here, as their input and also get their output, right? So imagine computers that took as large as a whole room. So those were the computers that they used those days, right? Now comparing it to your smartwatch and your phone, right? So those computers were bigger than yourself as human beings, right? So those were the ones that were used those days. So it's a good thing that technology evolves, right? That's come a long way, because I can't imagine having a computer that is as big as my own room Of course, mostly they were not used for personal, they're usually not personal use. But I'm just so glad for the advent of computers, how I can have my laptop, can make use of my phone, can make use of my smartwatch, just do things, and they're just coming smaller and smaller in size. So talking about display devices, right? We have various kinds of display devices. We have monitors, smart TVs, we have touch screens, like the one I'm using right now is a touch screen. We have projectors, okay? And we'll look at monitors. I'm sure many of us are very familiar with monitors. So who has not seen a monitor before? That's going to be strange, right? Right. So actually, that's not a question. I think most of us have seen a monitor before. So they're actually like the most popular display device you would encounter today. And they have actually replaced the CRTs monitors, right? Because these flat screen monitors, they're like thinner, lighter, more conventional, and they also consume less power, okay? They produce less heat. Now, when it comes to monitors, right, we have two technologies. We have the LCD and LEDs. So basically, the LCD is liquid crystal display monitor. And then the LED refers to the light emitting diode monitor. Truth is, sometimes just by seeing it, you might not be able to tell the difference. But the difference basically is that LED displays are basically LCDs, right? With light emitting diodes. That is, their lights, they're actually brighter in color, and their dark ones are the color black is always darker. So basically, by just looking at it, if it's not turned on, you might not be able to tell if it is an LED or LCD, okay? But when you delve deeper and just look at how the kind of lights that they emit, the light emitting diodes, they use them as light source. So that way you're able to tell the difference between the both. Again, you can do more research to understand this better. Talking about display devices and connectors, again, we have smart TV. I believe that if not all, most of us have TVs in our houses, and many of us in today's world make use of smart TVs. So usually the smart TVs are like monitors. The difference really is that smart TVs, well, depending on the size, but many of them are larger than monitors, and they have this inbuilt internet connectivity. So you're able to access apps. Many of us even do Netflix on our smart TV, right? Because they're able to connect to the internet too. So although sometimes because of how large they are, the image is usually not as crisp as a monitor would. But so you can actually connect. I know many of us do that already. We connect our computers to our smart TV just to get an extra bigger screen. So you can also use your smart TV as a monitor. It's also a display device. And touch screens, well, I believe if not all, most of us make use of touch screen devices, like our phones are touch screen. Many of us make use of touch screen laptops. And basically, you just need to point at what you want to click on, and that's it. They just follow whatever your hand needs them to do, right? So one thing we need to note is that so when cleaning the screen of your touch screen, right, there are some chemicals that might actually damage your screen. So usually some touch screen are very sensitive to touch and very sensitive to some cleaning agents. So the best bet is just to clean your device with a damp cloth. Please, not cloth that is extremely wet to emphasis on damp, just slightly damp. Just clean off the screen and ensure that your screen is looking neat, basically. Okay, so these are the various smart TV specifications. You can see different brands. You can see their resolution. They have backlights. You see voice assistants and all. Again, these are things that we can come back to check after the class, right? Just go through the slide. So on our display device, lastly, we have projectors. I know that many of us are familiar with projectors. They make use of them in our churches, in some schools, they make use of projectors too, in our offices, make use of projectors. So basically, it does allow a presenter to project image on a board, sometimes on the wall. In fact, we have small projectors that you can use inside your house now. Just connect them to your computer and just put them on the wall. So basically, they produce light. There's this bright light that is produced and helps you to produce that gives you this lighted image basically. So one thing about projectors that when you are in a well-lit place, so you might want it to be bright, like very, very bright, because you might not see what's on the screen. But if you realize that when projectors are used, mostly the light is turned off or the light is dim so that you can see. So when everywhere is dark, you'll be able to see, even with a very low projection light, okay? So I remember Mr. Yola asking what's the most popular color of VGA, and most of us got it right, which is the color blue. So as you can see it, this is the video graphics array, that's the VGA. So if you were confused on what we were talking about, this is what Mr. Ayola was speaking about. And see, they are plugged into your computer, right? This is what they look like. So they are connectors. So we have various connectors, right? VGA as mentioned. We have DVI, we have HDMI, which many of us are familiar with. We have DisplayPort, and we have USB-C, which I believe most of us use to charge our phones. So VGA, again, I will not dwell too much on this. There are things that we can always read up, right? So they actually are still in use today. They've been in use for a very long time. And they are the only ones on our list here that is actually analog, right? And we'll have newer digital standards like the DVI, which I will discuss next. So DVI is the Digital Visual Interface. So it was introduced in 1999. And it is the first widely used digital video standard for computers. So it supports analog signals. And yeah, so that is it. So if you have a monitor with a DVA cable or a computer with only a VGA, you can actually buy an adapter that actually, can connect the two, basically, and vice versa, yeah. So talking about USB, which I know many of us are familiar with. So USB, when Mr. Yola asked what USB meant, yes, myself, when he said that's wrong, I said, if the person coming to teach this thing is wrong. In my presentation slide, I have universal serial bus. So, hey, which one is Mr. Yola saying again? So I was just waiting patiently for him to give us his own answer, right? And many of us turned out to be correct. So USB means universal serial bus, and a kind of connector that many of us are familiar with. So we have the USB 1.0, we have 2.0, we have 3.0, we have 4.0, in fact. Many of us are familiar with the USB-A. However, the type C, yeah, we call it type C, right, is the newest connector. So the shape. Now, I know many of us have made that mistake. So if you have made a mistake, I want you to signify in the chat, right? Where you want to plug in your USB and you're like, oh God, this is the wrong part. Then you turn it, it is wrong. Then you turn it again and it is correct. Usually that thing happens to many of us. Please tell me if you have actually come across that before. Has it happened to you before? I'd like to know in the chat box. Tell me, have you tried to fix your USB? Or if you're a person that just always gets it at the first instance, also tell me in the chat. Me, I'm a boss, so I'm a USB boss. Said of course. So usually you just plug it like, oh my God, the wrong part. Plug it again. It is the right one, thank God. But when it comes to USB-C, there's no issue like that, right? There's nothing like, oh, I plugged it upside down, or I plugged it in the wrong way, right? USB-C is just the same thing, whichever way you plug it. So the current fastest USB standard is USB 4, and it supports data transfer speed of up to 40 gigabits per second, right? Okay, so we'll still have more information on that. You can also just go and search more. Just have much fun with your research, okay? All right, so I'll move on to HDMI, so for example, in my church, I am in the display unit. We get to work with the projector, connect the HDMI and all. So I know many of us also get to connect HDMI to our smart TVs, our computers. So basically, these were actually introduced in 2002, right? But they are still very great. They are still very fast. They are still very reliable, and they will still be around in years to come, right? And the data rate is at about 48 gigabits per second. So it's actually very fast, very, very fast. And it's able to carry audio signals and network connectivity. It's also able to transmit videos, right? And we have display ports and oh God, Fayek said unconscious me trying to connect my USB to HDMI. I know, right? When you're not looking, you're just trying to connect something like, oh my God, this is the wrong port. And you sometimes just laugh at yourself, right? Okay, thank you very much for that. So we have the display ports and Thunderbolt. So the display port was introduced in 2008 by VESA, and basically it is designed to know it's intended for video devices only, right? So like the HDMI and USB, you can use it to transmit both audio and video simultaneously. But the beautiful thing about Thunderbolt is this: it actually not only supports video, it also supports other types of peripherals, right? And the thing is, Apple actually announced the standard, the mini display ports standard in late 2008 as regards to the Thunderbolt. So you can see an image of, usually you see the Thunderbolt sign when it is a Thunderbolt port. You see it, right? So it's basically just an offshoot of the display ports. As the name implies, they're very fast, Thunderbolts, right? Okay, so there was something I was hoping to show us at the end. Okay, so this. So before I get to that table, to just show us, so I'll ask a question when I get here, so I'll be back. Talking about external storage and communications connectors. So since we're talking about connectors, so why not? Let's talk about these connectors. Okay. So external storage devices are not, we've spoken about them already. So you can see a flash drive, which we also call a thumb drive. We also talked about external hard drives and all. So the beautiful thing about flash drives, they are compact, they are cheap, they store a lot, and they're easy to use. And they have this USB connector. So the only thing you need to do is just plug in your flash drive, and then your system will just detect it, right? So I want you to note this. If you have not been listening to anything since, listen to this, right? Flash drives and SSDs, they make use of the same technology. So the same way we do not have moving, so in HDDs we have moving parts. That's rotator, right? That has where you can measure the revolution per second, right? But for SSD flash drive, they have similar technology where there are no moving parts. And because there are no moving parts, right, this means that it is difficult for something to actually go wrong, right? So they usually last for as long as 10 years, right? They last for as long as 10 years. But the only issue with flash drive, because they are so small, you can actually misplace them. Okay. Still speaking about external hard drives, can see. Basically the same thing. Sometimes, okay, I think there was a time I removed the hard drive inside my laptop. I just connected it to a case. I just gave it a case, right? And I was using it as external. So basically, they're the same things. One is just outside the computer, the other is just inside the computer. And external hard drives, usually you connect them using your USB or your Thunderbolt connectors, right? Okay, so talking about NAS, which is network attached storage. Now, this will be very useful in answering. So I have another question, a second lab. This will be very useful in answering the last question I put in the slide, right? Now, what is a network attached storage? Basically, it takes this hard drive thing, it just takes it to the next level. So just like its name, it is attached to the network, to the network, right, to the internet. But that's not the only thing it does. It also allows you to, swap hard drives, meaning that if one hard drive fails, you can remove it and quickly replace without shutting down the network attached storage. So usually they have this thing we call fault tolerance. It is they're able to tolerate a fault. I'm trying to see the simpler English to use. That is, in case of a failure, right, it is still able to stand the test of time. Yes, that's the word. So it's able to stand the test of time despite one particular failure. You're able to just quickly swap with other address, right? So the NAS system connects to your PC through a USB and a Thunderbolt, right? So basically, that is it. So other network connectors, we have the RJ45, and this is the most common connector, right, in use today. And we can also, they're also known as Ethernet connectors, right? And many people call them Ethernet cables or CATs. Maybe Cat5 or Cat6 cable, but basically CAT is just category. Sometimes all these computer terms, they just say different, they just give us different terms to make it sound so intelligent that makes you feel like, oh, I don't even know what these people are talking about. But do not be afraid, do not fret. All of these things are just very easy for you to grasp. Maybe you do not get them in one day, but yes, you get them as time goes on. Also, we have SFT connectors. So they are known SFP rather, small form factor pluggable connectors, right? So they are fiber optic network cables, and they provide higher throughput rate, right? Over long distance than your copper cables would. This means that they are immune to eavesdropping. Don't worry, when it comes to the compute, when it comes to networking, more of networking, and then even security parts, right? You get to network security, basically, you get to understand these cables and cables I'm speaking about, and this eavesdropping I'm talking about, right? So because they are immune to eavesdropping, that is, someone cannot physically hack and listen to network traffic between computer when you mix of this fiber optic network cables, right? This can help to improve the network security, right? So basically that's it. And usually they have speed as much as 400 gigabits per second, over 40 kilometers. That's a lot of speed, okay? So we've come to the end of connectors, right? And I would like you to look at this. First of all, I'd like to confirm, are we all still following me? Can you give me your reactions? Are we all still following me? Let me be sure that people are still following me. Who is still following me in this place? Okay, FedEx is here. Mistura is here. Oluwatomisin is here. Jonathan. Okay, Kazim is here. Okay, great. If you Oluwa, I like all this response I'm getting. Thank you so much, everyone. Great. So now look at this. Taking a look at these types of connectors, just ignore the year they were released. Look at the maximum speed. Which one do you think is actually which one do you think is the fastest? Which one do you think is the fastest here? So who is here? Who is going to give us that response? You can just drop it in the chat box here. Do you think USB 1 is, or should I say, no, let me use USB A now. Do you think USB A is faster than, do you think serial RS232 is faster than USB-C? So which one is the fastest in your own opinion? Okay, someone is telling us RJ11. Okay, so the size, so the speed is 56 kilobytes per second, right? Are you sure kilobytes is actually greater than gigabits? I think you should.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, someone is speaking. All right.
My name is Isaac Batum, speaking from Ghana.
Hi, Isaac.
I think the 40 gigabit per second is faster than the RJ11, the 56 kbps. I think the gigabytes devices are really faster as compared to the kilobyte. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Isaac, for that beautiful input, right? So that's what I actually wanted to check. If people are actually able to recognize that kilobytes are actually smaller than gigabits. So the largest we have here on this place, the HDMI, which is the 48 gigabyte bits per second, right? It is larger than even this 115 kilobytes per second. So to have a better understanding, you can go back. So I shared a table about bits, bytes, kilobytes, and also you just get to understand better how these things work, right? So some people, once they hear 1028 kilobits, they think it is bigger than 1 terabyte, but that's not true, right? So we need to just understand these things, which I shared earlier. So when you get the slide and you do your own research, you get to understand it even better. So thank you so much for your input. Yes, so Mr. Dare said HDMI has 48 gigabits per second, which makes it the highest. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Jonathan, I hope you actually understand this better now. Thank you. Okay, I can now see other chat says HDMI is faster, USB-C is faster. Okay. So based on this chart, HDMI is the fastest. However, USB-C is faster than USB-A. Thank you so much. So we'll also come to the end of this class, right? I'm just so glad that many of us are still active to the end, right? And I'm just looking forward to how the other classes will be, even though I will not be the one lecturing all of it. I just look forward to being on this class throughout the end of this 8 weeks, because again, this is a value-packed class. Okay. Speaking about understanding input, output, and power devices. Okay. So let's get to understand this. So yes, we have AI, right? I have a colleague. His name is Jonathan too. He's the AI boss. He speaks nothing else but AI, right? So of course, AI has made rapid strides in recent years, and computers are still unable to truly think. I mean, even AI just basically feeds on, should I say, it feeds on, in my opinion, feeds on human intelligence, what humans have actually put together, right? So, well, that's not my focus here. So the point is that your computer can't do anything until you tell it to do something. So you have to give it an input, no matter how smart a computer says it is, right? So it's whatever you tell the computer to do, that's what it's actually able to do for you, okay? So input basically is as simple as me clicking on something, me touching my screen and clicking on something, or can be as complicated as plenty command lines that you've given your computer to do. But either way, input is very critical, because if you do not input anything, the computer will just stare at you forever. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier that the earliest computers now, they used punch cards as inputs. We had ENIAC, which was the first electronic general purpose computer, and it used punch card for inputs and outputs in 1946. However, in our world of today, where we have our compact computers, we have our phones, we have smaller devices, we have keyboards. Now, keyboards have always been available, but we had them as typewriters, okay? And they were introduced as computer input devices by 1948. Now, the thing is, pointing devices had actually been right in 1946, but the mice was not as popular, not until 20 years later, about 40 years after. That was in 1984. Again, all of these dates, we're not doing issue, okay? So let me just come with this date, right? So today, the keyboard and the mouse are like the most important and most common tool of your input devices, right? Imagine if your mouse is not working, though you can still make use of a keyboard to navigate, but not everyone knows how to make use of these commands, like my dear friend Fadek, right? Okay, so it's just best that two of them are available together, okay? Sorry, okay, sorry about that. All right, so keyboards, like we mentioned earlier, I can say they originate, or they are like a copy of typewriters, right? And we use them to enter data in our computer, right? And the most common configuration for keyboards that we have is the QWERTY. If you look down at your computer, my computer right now has the QWERTY no, just as the QWERTY, and it's actually a Latin script language. Okay, although we have other ones, but the QWERTY is the most common. Even if you look at your phones when you try to type, phones that actually mimic keyboards, right? You see that they also have QWERTY layout on the keyboard. So we also have some BlackBerry devices that have keyboard on them. I know many of us have actually seen them. So the default layer is still like similar. So basically, as said in this slide, after video display, keyboards are pretty much the most essential things that we plug into our computer, or we have, like, for example, me using a laptop, actually I do not need to plug it in. So it's already connected. But once my keyboard stops working, I mean, how do I even get to type anything at all? So keyboards are very, very important. They're one of the most important input devices that we could have. And pointy devices, right? We have several ones, right? But I'm focusing more on mouse today. So basically, you just move your cursor around and you just point at what you want. So they are very convenient to hold. They are small. Sometimes our hands can be bigger than them. So you just, see them. Now, how did the name mouse come about? This is because the persons that actually created it actually came, usually it has this connector cord at the back of it, which you connect to your computer. So it just looked like a mouse, right? Look like mouse. So let's say look like a mouse, right? And then even though we have plenty mouse that no longer have connectors at the back, we still call them mouse. So the name has stuck, and I don't think there's anything we can do about it again. So basically, even if your so we need our mouse and our keyboard to actually enjoy our computers very well. Now we have touchpad, which is actually what I am using right now to move this cursor around. Some people connect their keyboards. I also have an external mouse, which I use with my laptop sometimes. So instead of you connecting a mouse to your computer, this is where your touchpad comes to play, right? So they work just like the mouse. You can move your finger around, like what I am doing right now. If you can see my screen, I'm actually moving my touchpad. So it also has the left click and the right click, just like the mouse. See the left click and the right click. So it has something similar. Sometimes the touchpad comes in different sizes, comes in different shapes, just different textures sometimes, because I don't know if it's just me, but when I touch another person's laptop, it just feels strange. The touchpad feels strange. Can it signify? I just want to be sure that I'm not the weird one out, right? So has it ever happened to you before, where you touch another person's touchpad and it's just so different in texture? So I'd like to hear from us. I'd like to hear from us. Is that true? Is it just Lola that is weird? Okay. Yes, thank you very much. I thought it was only me. I used to think, what's going on? Why is this thing feeling strange? And even when I changed my computer at the time, the touchpad too was feeling strange. So I just guess our hands just get used to our touchpad over time. And this again because of the textural difference in them. So, and also it is very possible to disable your touchpad. Maybe the touchpad is probably misbehaving, maybe dust or water got into your computer and then affecting the touchpad. You can always disable it by just typing touchpad in your search and so there's usually a toggle, like just click on switch, just switch it. There's a switch, just put it off so that you can use your external mouse. Okay. So moving on, this is actually one I'm very excited to speak about, the uninterruptible power supplies, right? When I was younger, when we had this monitor, this desktop in our house, the keyboard, external mouse, and everything, right? Now, we had this CPU, right? We had this UPS rather, also connected to the computer, because I remember there was a time I was working on a Word document and then light went off. And that time, Microsoft Word was never as smart as saving. It was not as smart as it is now, where to help you to save to help you with auto recovery. That way, once you don't save, once you don't press your Control S as you type, you just be pressing your Control S, Control S, Control S. It will just go like that. So, but when you have a UPS, right? When you have a UPS, it just saves you the stress of of panicking that, what if power goes? What if there's a power failure, right? So basically, the UPS, as I mentioned earlier, is the uninterruptible power supply, and it is a battery backup system that your computer can just plug into, right? But we have the function of ensuring that we keep the batteries charged. So for example, if there's a power outage or there's just a sudden drop in voltage, right, your UPS can actually come to play. Usually, it is just for a limited amount of time for you to just quickly do the proper shutdown, proper saving that you need to do. And the beautiful thing about UPS is that apart from just providing power, it also helps, it also serves as a surge protector, right? In case where we just have sudden kind of surge in power, your UPS usually is designed to protect the things that you've plugged in it. So you can see this is the front. Usually this is how they look like. Yeah, in fact, this is the brand. Yes, I remember the APC brand. This is the most popular brand of UPS we have. And this is how the back looks like. You can see, looks like this very small extension. In fact, let me confess, there's times I'll just use to power my phone on. My phone goes off totally. I'll just quickly plug and just power my phone on. Just quickly do something on my phone. So I used to do that at a point. So basically, it has power stored in the battery. So it's not even used for only computers. In fact, the beautiful thing now is we now have UPS that if they have larger batteries, right, they'll be able to last longer. So we have UPS that could just last for 1 minute, 2 minutes then. But now, talking about large batteries, you could actually use them to sometimes power the whole house. So UPS are actually much more deeper and bigger than just yes. Alex said that was our inverter. Then I can relate with you, bro. I can relate with you very, very much. Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. Okay. So that's that on UPS. Okay. So we have printers. We have printers. Please hold on. I'm just trying to check something because I have a question I want to ask at the end. So we have printers. So printers are electromechanical output devices. Basically, all this English I'm speaking. Printers just basically will receive signal from your computer and put it on paper. That's what they do. And they've always been since a long time. They've been, even though many of us in our offices, at work, in school, that means many of us are no longer using paper copies, right? We make use of electronic devices, electronic documents rather. We see sometimes we need paper like printing of things, and printers will always come to play then. In fact, let me tell you how funny this thing is. The printers have evolved over time. Before they used to be like, you can have a very large one. Now we have this really small that you can even slip into your bag. That this small business owners now used to just print things as little, just very little things, very, very small. Sometimes you can connect them to your phone and just print something. In fact, technology has gone really, really great. And I just look forward to the things that want to come, right? So basically, all your printer needs to do is just make your image appear on paper. So most of the time, it actually does this with ink. But there are other ways. So we have various technologies to get image on paper. We have various kinds of printers. We have impact. We have solid ink. But I know that the one that many people are very, very familiar with is inkjet and laser. And we're going to be focusing on inkjet and laser printers today. So what are laser printers, right? What are laser printers? So I remember, because my father is actually an engineer, just hear him say something like, oh, laser. When I was younger, I don't say inkjet, laser, like, it will be this, it will be all these ones. I guess who is teaching it in the class right now? Myself, okay? So, basically, a laser printer works like a photocopier, right? Now, what's the difference between a photocopier and my screen is showing already, but if you can unmute yourself, if somebody can unmute themselves, tell me, in your own opinion, what is the difference between a printer and a photocopier? I'd like to hear from you. So usually, maybe just the first, if you want to speak, and just unmute. First person to unmute and just speak, okay? I'd like to hear from us. Whereas I'm not going to move from here. I'm going to have to hear our beautiful voices. What's the difference between a printer and a photocopier, in your own opinion? So in my place, there's no wrong answer. I just want to hear from you, okay?
Please put up your hand so we can unmute you to speak.
All right, thank you so
Please
much.
unmute Isaac to speak.
Okay, so we have Isaac and Martin. So I'd like to hear from the both of you. So Isaac first. So what's the difference between a printer and a photocopier?
Okay, thank you very much. For me, I'll come from the perspective of the cost, in terms of cost. Printers are much more cheaper as compared to the photocopiers. And then when it comes to the volume of work, the photocopiers can do a lot of work as compared to the printers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Really, this is another perspective. So usually, so I've actually learned again. Like I said, this class is a value-packed class. So I've learned from what you just shared with us. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Martin, I'd like to hear from you and you speak.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, our lecturer. You're doing really great. Well, okay, let me start by saying the difference between printer and photocopier is that generally, like most of us will see, a printer actually gets input only from the computer.
Okay.
So it's the computer that sends to the printer what I want to print come out. But the photocopier, generally, and we use the word general, apart from the recent photocopier that can also print. So I want to come from the old school mindset of photocopier that photocopies. Gets input from the user, not from a computer as a device. It's now as the user as the operator. So although now we have some photocopier that can also print. So the main difference is that a printer cannot photocopy, but we still have some printers. Now that they incorporate the 3D in one kind of printer, but normally a printer is not meant for photocopying. So a printer receives input or signal from a computer, while a photocopier receives signal or instruction from the user. Let me just use that one as the point away.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Martin. That's a very beautiful submission. Thank you so much. I mean, like I said, this class, God, what do I do for? What do I do to reward these people that God has given to me in this class? Because you all are just really, really intelligent people. I mean, thank you so much for those beautiful submissions, right? So you all have said it all. You've said it all.
Facilitator,
right? Okay,
I'm
sir.
sorry, I'd like to come back. Yes, I'll slightly disagree with what my brother said in terms of the input. Now, we have photocopiers that you can actually connect to printers or laptop and receive instructions from the computers. We do have them now. I mean, so in terms of the differences, we can look at them in terms of their physical appearance. Printers are much smaller, photocopiers are bigger. But when it comes to printers also can scan now. Printers can scan. We can connect them to computers via Bluetooth or through maybe a PAN or a LAN, a local area network or a personal area network. So please, in terms of the receiving of instructions and printing, I respectfully disagree. Both of them can take instructions from a computer or a laptop to print. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Thank you so much for that, right? So basically, I am just so happy to get our response. So myself being the lecturer, I'm learning from the students of this class. So in my opinion, right, I actually agree with two of you. And based on what I have put on this slide, so let's assume that, so you are speaking based on how advanced photocopiers have gone, right? And how advanced printers have, grown to be. But in the traditional way, being just a printer, being just a photocopier, right? The major difference is this. I mean, being a printer that only prints, being a photocopier that only photocopies, right? As the name implies, a photocopier basically needs you to probably put a particular document in it, which it scans and reproduces it again. So a photocopier basically reproduces what you put in it. It scans it and reproduces it. While a printer, which does the work of only a printer, receives like a digitalized data from your computer, then prints it into an image or whatever it is. So that's the major difference, given that we are focusing on a printer being a printer, a photocopier being a photocopier. But now that we now have integrated ones, so it's really difficult for us to now start separating. So that is why I agree with both of you. Again, a printer being a printer would receive the digital data from your computer, it receives the instruction directly from the computer and prints. So that means you don't have to have a physical copy of what you want to print, right? But when it comes to a photocopier, usually a photocopier, specifically a photocopier, as the name implies, photocopy, it needs you to put the physical copy of an image, a document, or whatever it is to reproduce what you already have. But really, thank you so much for those inputs. Thank you very much. Really insightful, right? So focusing on laser printers, right? They are bigger. Generally, they are bigger, they are faster, and they are usually more expensive than inkjet printers. And mostly you find them in offices. Some people have them at home, right? Like my father used to have, like I mentioned, my father is actually an engineer, right? So some people have them at home, but mostly you find them in office settings. And they do not make use of this liquid ink or ink, as we know. They make use of this dry powdery plastic resin, which we call toner. So sometimes you hear that, oh, I'm replacing the toner cartridge, right? So usually these toner cartridges are more expensive than ink, and they are also able to produce more pages. And again, by the time you calculate it, so yes, they are more expensive, but by the time you do your calculation, you see that they are actually cost effective. They are more cost effective on a per page basis, okay? Okay, when it comes to printers, whether the laser or inkjet now, they are available in colors or monochrome models. What are monochrome? It is just black and white, right? Just black, basically. Then color, that means we have various colors which we have noted here. So this is how it works, basically. Makes 4 passes across the same page, laying down a different color each time. So basically, that's how the laser printer works. Now, moving to the inkjet printer, okay? Mostly many people use them at home. Like when you want to buy a printer at home, the inkjet printer is like the most popular choice. It is what you run to first. Again, you see them in some offices. Some of them use them as backup printers. Like they have the large laser printers. They also have the inkjet printers, right? And you can also call them bubble jets, basically. So Canon actually, copyrighted the name bubble jet, but that's off the point of today's class, right? So basically, how do inkjet printers work? As the name implies, they make use of inks, and they spray these inks on the page to actually form that image that it has received digitally, right? So so the older ones used to be messier, right? They used to use a pump and nozzle to spray ink, and they're actually messier, noisier, and ineffective. But these newer ones, they are much effective. You can depend on them more, and they are cheaper, right? So basically, inkjet printers are very simple devices. They're very simple, they're easy to use. And the primary consumable is the ink cartridge. Remember we mentioned earlier that the laser printer does not make use of ink, rather it makes use of toner cartridge, right? So usually these these tubes, I call it in cartridge now. So if you want to print only in black, right? So it makes use of just the black ink, which you can replace. You can always replace the ink. And if you want a color print, right, you can add this colors. imputed, so as to help you produce those bright colors that you want in your printed documents, okay? So basically, we've come to the end of printers. Now, I have a question. I'd like us to unmute and speak, right? So, talking about a UPS, remember the particular topic here, this topic is understanding input, output, and power device. So, in your opinion, right, since the UPS provides power to the computer, would you call the UPS an input device, or would you call it a power device? So I'd like to hear from you, 2, 3 people. I'd like you to raise up your hand so that the admin can unmute you and you can speak. So who is ready for a conversation this afternoon? Kindly unmute and speak. So the question is the UPS an input device or a power device? So I'd like to hear from us, please. I'd like to hear from us. Or should I start calling names? Okay, Mr. Isaac is up. I'd like to see more hands up so we can get started. I'd like to see more hands up. More hands, more hands, more hands, more hands. I need to see like 2 more hands up. Oh. I want to hear, because I know that we have professional. I want to learn from us in this class. I want to, let us learn from one another, okay? So as much as, oh, okay, yes, please, you can type. Please, you can type if you're in a noisy environment. So while others are typing, Mr. Isaac, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much once again. By default, a UPS is actually a power device. Now, UPSs work by actually receiving electricity from, let's say, the direct current, that's the DC, and then it stores it in a battery, which converts the UPS to become like an input device. And then it in turn actually supplies electricity to any device you connect to, whether an extension board and you want it to feed your printer or your computer. So basically, that's what I can say about UPSs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. So you said that a UPS is a power device. Thank you so much for that. I'm still waiting for others. Okay. Yes, Father Express, you can type. So who else would like to speak to us? I'd like to hear our beautiful voices. I'd like to hear our voices, right? Okay, so someone said, since a UPS supplies power to the computer in case of energy, I would say it's a power device. Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So any other response? So I can just round up with my own input. Okay, Tadare said definitely it's a power device. Okay, thank you so much for these submissions. Thank you so much. Yes, power device. Thank you. So really, some people might be confused the fact that, oh, since it is supplying something, right? Since it is supplying something to the computer, then it's probably imputing. Yeah, it is imputing, but it's not an input device. So everyone that has given us their inputs, inputs, pun not intended, right? Everyone that has given us their inputs are actually, gotten the answer right. It's a power device, right? Now, because the primary function of the UPS to provide backup power to electronic devices. Remember, not just your computer, even to servers, even to networking equipment. So in case of a power outage or voltage function, like fluctuation or voltage malfunction, as the case may be, remember that it is your UPS that will come to play. But your input devices, they're actually those hardware that allow you to interact with your computer. So your input devices will not be your mouse, your keyboard, the microphone, and the output device would be your monitor, the printer, and speaker. So thank you so much once again, everyone. So we'll move to the next thing. So we are almost, in fact, we have actually come to the end of this class already, really. And this is the last topic for today. Okay, I can see more responses. Yes, it is imputing something, but it's not imputing information. Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, Yes, definitely. You're getting the slides. You get the slides and even extra materials to help you with your learning, okay? Now, the UPS, somebody here, Fadek said, UPS is classified as power device to mainly prevent the system from tripping off. This applies to desktops and can be used to power other devices. Again, I have the most intelligent persons in my class. Thank you so much. So understanding installation basics. Really, I believe these are things that many of us know already. Many of us have heard already. But really, we should just be reminded. These are just let's say safety guards, right? Safety guards, right? So for internal devices, they are basically things that that are inside your computer case. Remember we spoke about the computer case, right? I said they're actually maybe plastic, metal, or other materials that are used to just put your computer in a frame, to put them together, put your computer components together. Because remember I said earlier, imagine you are seeing your motherboard, you're seeing the processor, you're just seeing those cables and they're just scattered around and you're not able to use them, or you're not able to move your computer around, right? No, it would have been really difficult. We can easily just slip our laptops in our bags and go to work. Can easily just, take your phones and put them in your purses. You can even hold them on your hands. Some of us even have meetings, right? Have meetings, online meetings on the road. We are working on the road and we're having meetings. I'm sure many of us can relate with that. That's because everything is in a case, right? So things inside your computer, your hard drive, your processor, those things inside your computer, right? There are some steps to follow if there will be a need for them to probably be replaced or to be open. Now, please ensure that your computer is powered off if it needs to be accessed, if you need to access it inside, right? Ensure that it is powered off. Ensure that, although some technicians will still leave it plugged in, but yeah, so as not to fry yourself with the components, right? It's better for components to fry alone and not to be fried with it. Just ensure you power off, okay? And also ensure that you properly ground yourself. Ensure that you properly, prevent contact. Ensure you prevent contact with the metal parts when they are plugged in. In fact, just power off. That's the best thing. And if you are going to be working on the component, ensure that you just remove it totally. If you are going to replace it, just remove it totally. Well, mostly many of us do not get to open our laptops ourselves and repair them. But just in case you are there when someone is working on them, ensure that they are plugged out, ensure they are not plugged in, ensure you do not just touch anything, or else one can be fried, okay? Identify the slot and connection you use for the new device. Insert your new device and make sure to connect power if it requires a direct connection to the power supply. So all of this also guide when you're trying to configure your computers, right? Just ensure that you are connecting the right things into the right slot. Ensure you are connecting the right connector to the right port, okay? And ensure to turn on your computer back in the case where you have replaced one or two things, right? Usually when you turn it on, it just comes up and starts working well, okay? So if you reboot your computer, right? So usually that just automatically starts working well, or your operating system will actually detect that you need a new driver. So in that case, you need to install a driver as regards to whatever it is that you're working on specifically, right? So talking about external devices, they are not as complicated as internal devices at all, right? They are not as complicated. External devices, they reside outside the case. Remember what the case is again? That plastic metal case, basically case, right? And they are easier to install than installing a device that is to be found inside your computer, okay? So you do not need to even power off your computer. You do not even need to open the case. So most external devices, just connect them through your USB, through your Thunderbolts, through your connectors, basically. And we know we spoke about various connectors earlier. So you just plug it in, and if such external device has its own power source, then ensure that you plug it in too, okay? So really, just plug in and you use. So now this is what happens most times when we plug in things into our computers, right? When you plug into your Windows, right, most times your Windows actually recognizes it as if you are trying to install a driver, okay? And if the installation is successful, then usually you get a message at the top, no, the lower, the bottom right out of your computer. Usually you get a message from your system that the device has been installed successfully and is ready to use. Now, when you get a message like driver could not be installed, that means it's something that you need to do yourself manually. And sincerely, there are so many other things that to learn. Again, ensure to do your research, ensure to read the materials that will be shared with you. Those are things that will actually make you the pro that you already are. No, to not make you the pro, it just enhance your professionalism, because I know that I have professionals in this class. I have very brilliant and intelligent people in this class. So this is my lab 2 exercise, right? And I was hoping that we would solve the lab 1 together, okay? Now, this is so maybe the lab 2 will solve them in the like by ourselves at home by yourself. Of course, the answer, I've given the answer, but I'd like to have your input also. So this lab 2 exercise says, your friend Alice comes to you looking for help. Now that you're a professional, now she came to you. I know that you're a professional in computers, right? And you know that she's a talented video producer, and she produces video, and she just recently started her own company to make videos for local restaurants and entertainment venues, basically, for them to put on their website. Okay, then Alice tells you that her business is growing quickly and she's very excited. She had so much business that she needed to bring in another friend, James. She needed to bring in James to help her to do some work, and they've been very busy. So she purchased an extra hard drive for additional storage. Now she's actually running out of room and she needs a better solution. Now remember, she's doing actually a lot of work. So what's the better solution, right? Now we need to note that Ellis uses a MacBook Pro and James also has some sort of MacBook, but it's like an old one, okay? So Ellis's goal is to increase the storage space and make it easily available for herself and James. And also, she wants to ensure that there's protection against losing all the data that she has compiled. So she also does not want to spend too much money. So she just wants to keep the cost down, and she also wants efficiency. So what kind of hardware would you tell Elise to buy? What kind of peripherals do you think would actually help her to achieve all of her goals and just one device? How much will the option cost if she wants to get a 10 terabytes of storage space? Are there other options Alice has that might actually save her money? So this is something you can think on later. But we've actually come to the end of this class, but I was hoping that we could answer the lab 1 questions together. So I'd like to get our inputs. This time around, you must unmute your mic. You unmute your mic and you speak, right? I want to hear our beautiful voices. Okay, so let me take us back to the first where is it now? I'm trying to search for it. The first lab, right? So now if you can see my screen well, kindly confirm that you can see my screen, and let's try to solve this together. Let's try to solve this together. Let's try to solve this together. Oh, are we tired already? Do you want to take it home to go and solve? Or you do not want us to do it together? Okay, so Martin says he can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So who else can see my screen? Okay, thank you very much. Can see my screen too. Thank you. So who is excited to do this? Who likes challenges? Myself, I like challenge. I like to be challenged. I like to see things and let's do them. Right. Okay, it's all done. So I want to confirm if we all have actually seen. So who would like to answer our question? Who would like to? So this is the first page, right? Now this is the question. So let's answer it one by one. Based on all these specifications, which one would you recommend and why? Okay, you said I should expand my screen. Okay, please hold on. Is it better now? Is it better? Kindly confirm. Okay, thank you. So let's answer it one by one, right? Based on the system specifications, which one would you recommend and why? So let me take us back. So I'd like us to take a moment to see the specifications. Again, the question is, you want to buy a computer for your relative, right? And you have been given a strict budget. And you have actually seen System J, System L, and System S at the same price. They're all the same price, right? But they have different specifications. Now, this is where trying to know what your relative wants to use the computer for comes in. He wants to use it to browse the internet, to pay bills, to play some games. Also, like to take a lot of pictures and videos and also be able to edit them on this computer. So which one do you think is the best? Again, it's our question. Based on this system specifications, which one would you recommend to your relative? So I'd like to hear from us. So who is starting? Who wants to speak first? Who wants to speak first?
I would like to go. My name is Thomason, from
Hi,
Nigeria.
Thomason.
I think like right now, just based off of storage, screen size, as well as the hard drive size, it's between System J and System L, because like I myself, I do photography as well, and typically I
Okay.
look for computers and cameras that have a lot of storage space available.
Okay.
So I think that automatically would rule out System S, seeing as it has the lowest storage available. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you said you choose between System J and System L. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Thomason. Thank you for your input. So who wants to go next? Before we get, okay, Mr. Isaac is raising up his hands. Martin is raising up his hands. So we'll just go by the person that raised up his hand first. Mr. Isaac, please have the floor.
All right, thank you very much. For me, I would go for System L and then System S.
Okay.
My
Why?
reason is that when you look at System J, for instance, when it comes to the RAM, expandable
Okay.
to that is non-expandable. However, L and S can actually be expanded to 32 gig. And then
Okay.
by default, L is 16 gigabytes. That means you can add extra 16 to make it 32.
Yes.
System S is 8 gigabytes DDR4. That one too can be expanded to 32 gig. Comparing
Okay.
the processor speed, System L, though, is quite small. That's 1.3 gigahertz, which is also a Core i5. I think that is not quite a bad machine, but System S is quite faster, which has a 2.5 gigahertz Intel Core i5. Also, looking at the second table to my right, I think System L has an HDMI in terms of the display ports. So you have options of having an HDMI and then two Thunderbolt connectors, which I think is of a lot of advantage. In terms of the battery life, System L has 16.5 hours of battery. That's almost close to a 24-hour, let's say, lifespan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then System S also has 15.1 hour battery lifespan. In terms of the weight, System L is quite lighter, and also the S is also a little bit lighter. Back to the table, on the left, System L has a display screen of about 14 inches, which I believe will look like a business laptop. S is also about 15.6. Though it's quite big, I think that also be manageable to handle. So based on this specifications that you have displayed, I think I'll go for system L and S. However, those systems J processor, 2.0 gigahertz AMD is very ideal for gaming.
Exactly.
In terms of
I was going to
business
come there.
operation, yeah, I think I'll go for, if it is for gaming, for instance, I'll go for system J. However, when it comes to the photography works and other things, I'll prefer the system LNS. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that detailed response. I really appreciate this a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Mr. Martin, your hands are raised. Would you like, so what system would you recommend for your relative? That, remember, do not forget that the relative wants to use it to browse the internet, pay bills, and play games. Also, do not forget that your relative likes to take a lot of photos and videos and also wants to edit them. So which one would you recommend and why?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Well, the main aim here is, as you said, my relative should be able to do gaming, browsing, video. Browsing is no problem, but gaming and the video need more. So, and more of gaming before the video. So if you look at the first process of system J, I am choosing system J for my relative because AMD is actually among the best. AMD, this particular processor, Ryzen 7, is an advanced media. You know, it's very good for anything we do in media. And gaming is there, and video editing is there. The RAM, the system RAM, 16 gigabytes. That's very good. It's not bad. Very, very, very good. And this is where it says it cannot be expanded. But for this present need, it is very, very important that we look at this 16 gigabytes can do it and do it very well. And look at another thing again. The hard drive. The hard drive. Remember we said what my relative can do with low cost. So 1 terabyte is times 2 of system L and times 4 or 3 of system S. So there will not be need for storage because if we do video editing, we know how big video editing is. If we're doing the gaming, we know how big these are gigabytes, gig storage. So this 1 terabyte, which we know is going to be 1,000 plus of gigabytes of this my relative we have. So I take the 1 terabyte. I take a look at the screen size. Wow, 16 inches makes it look like it's roomy, it's big, so it's spacious. It can actually do editing very well. It's not small. It's not. It doesn't need to be. It's good and it's wide. And if you look at the other side now, let me come to the other side. You look at the graphics. I don't necessarily need it to be touchscreen. You know, most picture editing or video editing, basically use their mouse where you need to. If it's for game, then we use our joystick, then we need to use joystick. So we don't need use the touchscreen. In this touchscreen here is of no use. So I still stick with this system J. And the video memory, wow, I like that dedicated storage of 2 gigabytes again extra for its own video. So this is a full package, full gadget for video.
Like
I
full
love
package,
the sound
right?
card. It's a full package for video and video editing and gaming. I won't talk about browsing. Browsing is on the low side. No, browsing. No, let's forget about browsing. If it's for video editing and gaming, obviously it's going to go for browsing. The sound card, yes, very good. So sound production, not bad, very, very good. The wireless card is going to go. The port, USB port, is for USB-A. Well, it's good. We look at this my relative that always want to do editing, probably send to the internet. One do want to do editing, probably put it into a media like CD, not necessarily USB. So, and this need, the USB is still very okay. The HDMI, that one is also very good. The operating system, Windows 11, home, not bad. Battery life is also a good thing. I want to believe my relative is there in Nigeria. When it is in Nigeria, I will tell you to go for inverter. So battery life,
I know, right?
battery life will not be a big problem because if you are
Okay.
taking an interior environment, and how I say, man, your battery is very important. But in this scenario, I think system J is what I
So
choose to my
system
list.
J.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wow, wow,
Yes,
wow.
ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martin. Thank you so much for that beautiful. Okay, I think I can see Mr. Isaac's hand raised. So I think he has
Yes.
something counter to say. Okay, please. I'd like to hear
Yeah,
from you.
so thank you, facilitator. I think because Mr. Martin was rattling and being political, you were so happy with his suggestions
Oh,
anyway.
no, I'm so happy with you, so please.
Yeah. So I would like to add a little to Mr. Martin. Though he's going for System J, I'll also recommend that he should have added that they should still get a backup hard drive in the event that machine gets messed up, especially in our
Okay.
system where AMD devices are really hot and we are in a hot continent. Getting a backup
Yeah.
hard drive to his 1 terabyte will also do. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
Martin,
absolutely.
for convincing the lecturer and making her smile. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, and thank you so much, Mr. Martin. This is actually quite interesting. Fadex, I can see your hands up, but I will need you to answer the next question. So let me give my own submission to this. Now, the first thing I need to note, like, there are no wrong answers as it were. Again, it still has to go with your choice. If you would prefer to pick 1 terabyte over 512 gigabytes because of some other features, then that's your choice. But remember that this person actually came to meet you because they trust your judgment. They know that, yes, this person is a guru when it comes to computers. So in my opinion, will I give my own opinion? I'm not going to give my opinion, don't worry. I will not give my opinion. I'll just move to the next question, right? Because like I said, we do not have wrong answers. But in the slide, right, the slide has been, as we have the answers in them. So many of us, I think many of us have answered question 1 and we've answered question 1 and 2. We've chosen the one we would recommend and why. And we've also chosen some specification that will make us not to choose the others, right? So so I'll go straight to question 4, right? And I'll need you to answer. That's FADEX. That's question 4. So if that laptop were for a relative who traveled a lot, what would you recommend? Would you still change? So let's assume that all of us have agreed that we choose between system J and system L, right? Now, if this particular system were to be for a relative that traveled a lot, would you still change your recommendation and why? Remember, if this relative actually traveled a lot, coupled with the other features, so traveling a lot has actually added another let's say another scenario, yes. So what would you pick? Which one of them would you pick and why? So Fadex, your hands are up. I'd like you to answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Fadex.
Yeah, concerning the question, at this point, we have to switch to system L because you are talking about traveling, or you are talking about taking it to a lot of places. You can't carry that 4.1 IBS everywhere. It's not possible.
Right.
It's not possible. It's going to be heavy. And literally, system L can do what system J can do. Just that system J can do it better. That's all. But it can do it at
Yes,
a very
absolutely.
perfect rate, at a very stable rate. We are talking about the gig DDR5 is very fast. It can cover for the processor speed, which is 1.3. Especially if you
Okay.
can even expand it to 32 gig. So when it comes to the speed, it's okay. In fact, it is perfect and even better than most laptops of this generation. And then we're talking about the space, 512. I think, was it Isaac that mentioned earlier that you need an external storage at the end of
Yes,
the day,
yes.
whether you have 2 TB internal storage, then anyone you have, you still need an external. So we're still going to get an external. So the storage is not going to be much of an issue. It's still going to get an external. And then we're looking at the 14-inch. It's not bad.
Okay.
we are looking at the graphics card, Intel Iris Xe integrated. It's not also bad. It's one of the best graphics card Intel has to offer these days, apart from the ARC. So, and also it has HDMI, Thunderbolt. And looking at the battery hours, is okay because you're not going to be charging a lot. You that you're traveling, your laptop is not going to be plugged in always. So I feel like System L would be the perfect option for that person.
Wow. Like I said, I have the best students in the world. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I do not need to speak again. You all have answered these questions already. You have scattered, like, you've broken the table, like broken it down so well. And I am so excited, right? Okay. Isaac's hand is raised up. Okay. So would you like to speak?
So, yes, and thank you very much, my brother who just spoke. But I just want to be a little bit sarcastic. I think Martin will still go for 16 inches since he enjoys a bigger display.
Matthew, where are you in this call? Mr. Isaac is tackling you, right? So what's your defense? What's your defense? He said you will still go for 16 inches regardless. So I don't know if Matthew is still on the call.
I am very much around. Mr. Isaac, we'll go with help us. We'll see the next class again. And I know that we'll be ready to make the class interesting. Well, I will still stand on the ground that something here is able missing. Because if we were told that this my relative stays outside the country and is traveling a lot, battery life is no longer the problem. But if we say this my relative is in Nigeria and is living in his house that have constant light, then or there's mechanic or is going to, we will not say, okay, because of the battery, it's going to go for the next System L. But still, that question, it will be traveling from offices to office because this first system, System J, is a bomb. That System J will make him do his work without stress. The speed is very good. First thing is speed. Battery is actually is considerable, but in this scenario of gaming, it's like it must always be. It's just like me going to buy an expensive Ferrari, and I'll come down to a place that is not smooth. I've made a mistake. So for me to go for gaming and video editing, I should know that I must have not just my battery alone, I must have an external storage. I must be on a battery, I must be something that must give me light. So battery here, for the sake of traveling in Nigeria, I can say System L. But if you say you have good lights, I still stick to System J.
Okay.
Thank you.
So basically, thank you so much, Mr. Martin. So basically, Mr. Martin is all for System J. And okay, Fadex, your hand is raised up. Would you like to speak? Or your hand is still raised. Fadex, can you hear me? Okay, so I guess that's a mistake. Okay, so basically, right? So
Yeah, sorry,
okay. So
Mr.
you wanted to say
Martins,
something, right?
I understand your fact about the gaming. L can do perfect gaming the same way or DJ. What I would have loved to see in this is the direct specification of the graphics card. There are some Intel graphics cards that are far better than the AMD. Especially AMD that has 2 gig, they're old ones. I used to have those kind of systems before. I had one, it's a old one, 2 gig gaming graphics, but there are some games it cannot play that my current system can play, and it's running on an integrated graphics card. You understand? So when it comes to things like that, just is more specific about the gaming, the graphics card. You would have known, oh, this one is this one, this one is this one. It's not every dedicated graphics card that is better than or every integrated graphics card. So in that case, you might want to reconsider. You understand?
Okay, thank you so much, Fadex. Okay, somebody's hand is raised. Maxine, okay, can you speak, please?
Yes, as he was raising the point, if performance is going to be the same, then I think that the world is going smart. Everyone will want to have something on them that no one will see that you're carrying something huge. especially when it's maybe a woman. You wouldn't want to have your laptop. Exactly. So you want something that is compact. The world that we are going, or the current situation that we are in. So fine, you have to look at performance, but the world is going smart. Everyone is looking at, something that is compact. So that's what I think.
Okay. So in your opinion, you choose compact over some other functionalities. Thank you so much.
No, if the performance is the same, then I think I'll look at something that is smart. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maxine, for coming in. Welcome. Thank you so much. I mean, this is really exciting. This is a very, really exciting session we are having. So now I'm going to tag each person to a system. So that means Mr. Matthew is all for system J, right? Mr. Matthew, are you here? So you are all for system J, any day, anytime, right?
Yeah, Martin, yeah.
Yes, okay, you're all for system J, right? While your should I say your rival now? Your rival is against your own choice, because especially because of your 16 inches choice, right? Okay, so well, for myself, okay, somebody's hand is raised. Can they speak, please? As
Hello, my name is Oku.
Okay, Oku, nice to meet you.
I would like to, for that question, I want to ask if my relative will trade the weight of that laptop for other satisfactions.
Okay.
Like the satisfaction it derives from gaming,
okay,
editing of video, and the rest. So, with that question, I don't think my relative want to trade the weight of the laptop for the other satisfactions it derives from the other three. So I'll go with Martin.
Okay, so you go with Martin. Thank you so much. I mean, especially if your relative even drives, but not
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So I'm not being partial here, right? So I'm not going to pick anyone. Like I said earlier, there are no wrong answers, there are no right answers. Just basically, they're based on your own preference, based on your choice. So well, I guess we've answered the question. So the second lab question, I guess, we'll be treating some other time. You can just when the slide is shared with you, you can just take a look at it and know. You can brainstorm with your friends, just brainstorm. Maybe there'll be sessions or times where they would allow you to brainstorm with one another. You can just, answer the questions together. Just a way to rack your head and just, to like exercise your brain, basically. But really, this has been an exciting session. I am so excited. This is just the first class, and I have learned a whole lot from students, and I'm sure that you all have learned from one another. I am so excited at what this class holds. I would like to thank every single person on this call. I'd like to thank Edis, Youth of Transformation College, for the opportunity to share with everyone. I'd like to thank every single person on the call. So we're about 70 or 80 at the beginning. I understand that some people would have to probably maybe attend to other things, but all of you that actually stayed to the end, thank you. You have actually made my day. I feel happy. I'm so happy that you all have taken one or two things away from this class. So thank you. And do not forget to always take a look at the specifications before you buy your computers. Do not, as for ladies, do not say, oh, because this laptop is color pink, then I'll choose the color pink over other specifications. No, right? So make sure you know what you want to use your computer to do, then you can get to pick what you want it for. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. So I'll see you next week. I'll not be the teacher for next week, but I'll definitely be on the call next week to also learn from you all. So it is, yeah, it's up to you now. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Damilola. It has been so interesting having you deliver this lecture today. And I know that every other person on the call did enjoy themselves in today's class. It's been very interactive, informative, so very big thank you. Can we please appreciate her with a round of applause? Give your reactions.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Appreciate her with a round of applause in the chat room. All right, so thank you so much. We have come to the end of the class for today. Now I would give this following announcement. I've seen your questions and all. So first thing is, we sent out emails yesterday with the link to today's class and other information. Please refer to your emails. If you have not received the emails, we would resend again today or Monday, would resend the emails again. So you read the instructions or the guides in the emails, and mercifully, please share the link to the WhatsApp group again, so everyone can click and join the WhatsApp group. We will be dispensing information, sharing documents and files on that WhatsApp group, so you can download them. And also, our classes are on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. However, we would have a break from 12 to 1 p.m. and we convene again for the second session that would start by 1 to 3 p.m. Okay, so please, we encourage everyone to always fill up the attendance form once the link is shared in the group here. And the recording to this class would be uploaded to our YouTube channel. All recorded classes will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and it's being uploaded every Monday. On the WhatsApp group, we would share the link to the YouTube channel where you can subscribe to be able to watch these classes over again in case you missed out something and you would like to refresh your memory. Boma, can you please share the link to the YouTube channel as well, since we're still on the call? All right, so please endeavor to always be in class on time. 10 a.m. is the time, so we can start as soon as it's 10 a.m. and run down till the end of the class. I hope I did not miss out any other information. Earlier today, we shared the schedule of this 8 weeks program in the chat room. We'll drop it again in the WhatsApp group or WhatsApp community, so you can all have access to it. Feel free to share the link to this, the WhatsApp or the Zoom class link. Whenever we share the links, feel free to share the links to your friends to join this class. And we did play an audio testimonial from one of our graduated students who attended a 12-week diploma program, how she was able to get a job and got a triple promotion at the instant of applying for the job, simply because she presented her certificate from our past program, and she got a triple promotion. So take this course and study seriously. You never can tell where it will lead you to. And on this note, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has been on the call until this very time. And we'll see you again next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. Do have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and stay happy and stay blessed. See you then.
Sorry, please. Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Go ahead, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, please. I tried using the link to fill the attendance, but on the attendance it was stated student number. So how do we get the student number, please?
Okay, so like we did mention earlier on the call, for the NID, the existing National Innovation Diploma students of Transformation College, they are the ones who do have a student number. However, for the new students who joined this program starting today, you do not need a student number. Just put in your name again in that field and fill up the rest of the fields and submit your attendance. I hope that clarifies your question.
Okay, thank you. One last one.
You're most
Now,
welcome.
the
Yes,
also
please. Yes,
there's a
please.
slot. Okay, there's a slot that also says the course. Is it the course that we are being taught for each of the class, or the course
Yes, the
generally?
CompTIA. Okay, the CompTIA, you're here today. You're taking the, what I'm hearing, I'm getting a feedback. Is someone speaking? Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hello?
you. I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Okay. So the course you're taking is fundamentals in fundamentals in information technology, or rather information technology fundamentals. So for those non-NID students, please fill up there information technology fundamentals. NID students, you already have the calendar, or Mercy have already communicated you in your departmental WhatsApp groups. So you know what exactly to fill up there. But for those who are joining the program just today, your course to fill up there is information technology fundamentals. All right. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone. We'll see you again. Mercy, please share again the attendance form link for those who couldn't fill it up, to do so even now. So on this note, I am signing out, and we'll see you again next week, Saturday. Bye for now.